people eating pizza. He's sending messages. Everybody know about Pizzagate. Once you get knowledge of what's going on in Pizzagate, then you go back and do your history of how long they've been doing it right in front of our face. It's not only Buffy. It's a culture. It's the people that's around them. It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood. It's who they are. They belong to them. I don't know why people...
Hey, T-Sippers. Hey, T-Sippers.
Yesterday, Diddy's personal assistant testified that Cassie told him directly, "I can't get out." She said, "He oversees so much of my life.
Hey,
he controls my music career. He gives me an allowance." She felt trapped because he was controlling her bank, her housing, and her career. It sounds like she was being pimped.
Yes,
she was
indeed,
being
sir.
controlled and used in commercial acts that she didn't really want to participate in. Diddy wasn't making money from this pimping, but he was controlling the situation the way a pimp would. Why didn't she just leave? She felt trapped.
Here.
Her
hello,
money,
hello.
her housing, her career are all in
I
this
am
man's
super
hands.
duper late.
She loved him. She loved her abuser, which is
it
a
is
classic
a lot
story.
going on. Do y'all hear?
She loved him. She loved her.
A lot going on, a lot of revelation. I was trying to chill and can't, because so much is coming out. Wow. I don't know where to start. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know where to start. And I say that, what is this? So, and I haven't listened to this one. It is so much stuff that's coming out. Last weekend, I made mention that the first week about Cassie was the bread, and this past week was going to be the meat, potatoes, some substance. Because they've been about to be building a sandwich. Baby, when I tell you, they are building a sandwich, fifth floor bruh man sandwich. And it is about to explode. It really is. Some of the stuff that's coming out, I am now beginning to believe that I don't think it's going to go the whole remaining 6 weeks. I think he going to try to cop a plea. He going to have to. He is about... Okay. So let's hear Gene, because it's a... What is he saying? Cassie told Diddy assistant, "I can't get out."
Abuser, which is a classic story. So he's a Romeo pimp in that he's using love to control her. He's a gorilla pimp.
Yeah, he told us that.
Using violence
but listen,
to control her.
What I didn't know is Torre.
Pimp in that he controls her finances.
I knew that he didn't like
We're
Diddy.
witnessing the trial
I didn't know
of a
that
pimp.
Diddy threatened his job.
Yesterday, Diddy's personal assistant testified that Cassie told him directly, "I can't get out." She said, "He oversees so much of my life. He controls my music career. He gives me an allowance." She felt trapped because he was controlling her bank, her housing, and her career. It sounds like she was being pimped.
I've been telling y'all. But listen, now y'all remember this guy. I remember him, and I remember that Diddy, that loved his nephew. He had long time ago. He had asked his Diddy if his nephew could be an intern, and Diddy said yeah. Now I knew that he had some personal issues with Diddy. I also knew that him and Diddy used to be cool. But so I know that his nephew just up and left because after about maybe the first summer, it was cool. He loved it. And I think after that, Diddy required for him to
Diddy's personal assistant testified that
I didn't know that they called it face ucking. He wanted his nephew to face uck him. And he left. And then his nephew didn't tell him immediately because Diddy was his friend, right? And then his nephew told him and asked him not to say nothing to Diddy or what have you. But what I didn't know is that him and Diddy had kind of got into it. They got into it. That part of it, I did not know. I just ran across that today. And he went to one of them parties. You know. Hold on, let me. And they kind of checked him on the cool. Yeah, I said, oh, okay, so it's deeper than what I thought. That I didn't know. Hold on. I ran across that one. He had some interviews and he done got in. I'm like, oh, okay, so he all in. Oh, okay. Diddy threatened to end his career.
The sweetest moments deserve the boldest flavors.
He threatened
like our new
him to end his career.
Well, this situation actually hit close to home with you. So,
Oh my God.
you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, oh God,
Okay, so,
I've told this story so many times.
but you're gonna,
No.
go over it on Vlad TV.
No. I've told the story too many times. This story's too old.
Okay, well, you and Diddy were close enough where you had each other's numbers and you could reach out to him and so forth at one point.
I mean, I'll tell you this. So when they were doing the Bad Boys for Life song and video, and there's a line in there where he says, "Don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks."
Yes.
And as a hip hop purist, I took offense to that line. You are bragging that other people are writing your rhymes and you're paying them for ghostwriting? Like, at least pretend. But, I was offended that he was talking about it and bragging about it. So I was writing a review of that album for Rolling Stone. And there was a line in the review that said, basically, that was whack. How could you say that? Now, for some reason, I had sent it in, and it was too late for me to do anything about it. It was already on the way to the publisher or printer. And I was talking to somebody in the music business on the phone, and for some reason, that came up. And I said that was whack, and I had just written something about that, saying that was whack of him. And I shouldn't have done that, but that was stupid. I was young. So dumb. And we hung up, and not 10 minutes later, Puff is calling me. So this person was like, and hung up and immediately called him. Yo, Torre said, he's calling me. And I saw the sort of full Puff thing in this story. Because first he was like nice and cool. Hey, Playboy, how you doing? Can you take that? What did you write? Can you take? And I'm very awkward to I don't want to discuss the article I wrote with you. I'm not going to tell you what I wrote, but I thought that line was whack. And he's being nice. Like, can you take that out? And I could never go to Rolling Stone and say, hey, Diddy asked me to take a line out of my review about, no, that's insane. I could never do that. I would never do that. And I'm like, hip-hop purist. I'm like, no, that was whack. Like, what you said was whack. So then he starts to get upset. And he's yelling at me. And I do remember him saying, I will end your career. And I was like, I don't even have any idea how you would do that. So I'm not employed by you. I don't need you for my employment. So,
I will buy Rolling Stone and fire you.
you know what I mean? So, I mean, it just kind of went over my head of like, yeah, sure, like, whatever. So he's kind of screaming and he's very angry, and I'm kind of like dissociated because I'm like, whoa, like, what is happening? And then it kind of calms down, and he's like, back to nice. So, can you help me out here? And I'm like, still no. So the call ends, and it was like, 2 weeks later, I got an invitation to a white party in the Hamptons. Now,
A Diddy white party.
yeah.
Yes.
And now, I thought that meant that we were cool. Like, you know, we had this interaction. You know, I stood my ground, and he's like, cool, whatever, like, come to the party. I get to the party. You had to drop off your car in one location and get on a bus.
Yeah.
And they bus you to the mansion, and you get off the little white bus, and there's these Victoria's Secret models wearing like wings and a halo and handing you champagne, and are like, welcome to heaven. Okay. So I get in, and Andre Harrell is there, and Andre Harrell was my man, right? And we got on thick as thieves like every time we saw each other. And he was like, watch out for the pop brownies. And he was giving me like a good warning, like, you know, take it easy on the pop brownies. Now, I'm like, yo, I smoke every day, nigga. Like, I don't need your warning. And I'm like, you probably don't smoke that often, like once in a while. And I'm like in this smoking life at that point in my life. So I took it as like a challenge. Like, what? Like, step aside. And I scarfed down 2 of them real quick. And, you know, he was right. You know, good 20 minutes later, I'm like zonked. Like, the room is kind of spinning, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot in these brownies. Like, fuck, I shouldn't have eaten 2. And this is right when Puff had just started dating J-Lo. So it wasn't publicly known. They weren't publicly admitting it. But they were there together at the party. And I remember sitting down somewhere because I'm like, wow, this party is like spinning right around me. And he came and sat down right next to me, and J-Lo was right next to him. And he's staring at me, and he's like, you fucked up. How could you say that about me? Because now he had seen it in print. And he's giving it to me. And it was not a setup, because it was not a public dressing down. Like, if you saw us, you would just think we were talking, right? So nobody's hearing him yell at me. It was not public.
Except for J-Lo, of course.
J-Lo is sitting next to him and looking at me like with these eyes, like, yeah, you suck. I don't even know
What you say about my boyfriend?
you know, I don't even know if you know, like, what's going on. Like, are you saying? Because the review was mostly positive, right?
Yeah.
We was just beefing about one line in the review. So he's giving it to me. I can't really say anything because there's not much going on here. Because the pop brownies, I'm like a zombie. So, you know, that finished. It was overall, it was a nice time. It was a G-rated, nice party with a lot of
So he,
music
in
and
other
people,
words, he
club people.
refused to take it down.
There was no inference that even now looking back that like, well, there was a secondary party going on, or if you stayed after such and such time, or because I swear, Andre or somebody around him would have said to me, you know, like, if you want to get down, you should stay. If you don't want to get down, you should go, right? Because he warned me about the brownies. So he would have told me, like, you know,
Yeah.
you should probably
Let's go to the
by,
next
like 8
one.
o'clock or something, or like,
Because this one right here. But it was funny to me to see that they
you know, what's up?
he tried to get him to change the article. And they was gonna try to mean mug him at the party. Let's hear what Gene got to say, because this just popped up today. I don't know what's. It's just a lot of stuff is dropping.
Happy to have you back, my man. Week 2, Diddy trial. I heard you was up there, yo.
Yeah, I went to the court. You know, I had to see for myself, brother. You know, it's an old cliche, a quote that used to say, you know, you always got to treat people good, because the same people you see going up the ladder will be the same people you'll see when you're coming down the ladder. And for me, being as petty I could be sometimes, I wanted to just see his face. I wanted to see him in that circumstance, in that situation. I've seen it before with the Sean and the Wolf trial with them when Sean got locked up. But I knew he wasn't going to jail then because they had set it up, you know, for Sean to take the fall.
Ain't nobody taking a fall for him this time, y'all.
This particular thing is all him. Everything that he always done to people, got away with it. It just came back and it's hitting them in a crazy way to see him right there. The government is about to take everything. People don't understand the RICO, and they don't understand the racketeering and the criminal enterprise, all that set up to take everything that he's gained, everything that he owns. So what they're doing is now they're putting it together, the racketeering part of it, because now they're using Comb Global and Bad Boy Entertainment. They saying that's one and the same. You know what I'm saying? And when they do that, bro,
y'all hear that?
And they find that that's racketeering, that he used people in his company, you know, to do all these sexual acts, deeds and stuff like that, paying the prostitutes and everything like that. And they proved that, which they doing a hell of a job, a great job in proving that. I had to see, bro. I didn't want nobody to tell me. I didn't want to get it from no YouTuber. I didn't want to get it from no news. I wanted to be right there to hear the testimony of some of those people that was there.
So how was it? Take me through it.
Well, the prosecution did a great job. There was certain people like, you see, I think her name Dawn, you know what I'm saying? She was in Danity Kane. She didn't do so well, but she didn't do bad, because what happened is there's this, and this is what people don't understand. She set an atmosphere of fear. And then people were saying,
did y'all hear that? Hold on.
Oh, she went back once. She went back twice. She went back 8 times.
Because people don't understand racketeering, how they set it up.
A hell of a job, a great job in proving that. I had to see, bro. I didn't want nobody to tell me.
Hey, Raina.
I didn't want to get it from
Renee,
no YouTuber. I didn't want to get it from no news. I wanted to be right there to hear and Bad Boy Entertainment. They saying that's of the RICO, and they don't understand the racketeering.
They don't understand
the criminal enterprise, all that set up to take everything that he's gained, everything that he owns. So what they're doing is now they're putting it together, the racketeering part of it, because now they're using Comb Global and Bad Boy Entertainment. They saying that's one and the same.
One and the same.
You know what I'm saying? And when they do that, bro, and they find that that's racketeering, that he used people in his company, you know, to do all these sexual acts, deeds and stuff like that, paying the prostitutes and everything like that. And they proved that, which they doing a hell of a job. A great job in proving that. I had to see, bro. I didn't want nobody to tell me. I didn't want to get it from no YouTuber. I didn't want to get it from no news. I wanted to be right there to hear the testimony of some of those people that was there.
So how was it? Take me through it.
Well, the prosecution did a great job. There was certain people like, you see, I think her name Dawn, you know what I'm saying? She was in Danity Kane. She didn't do so well, but she didn't do bad because what happened is there's this, and this is what people don't understand. She set an atmosphere of fear. And then people were saying this, bro. Oh, she went back once. She went back twice. She went back 8 times. She went back 20-some times to him. How could she be scared of him? No disrespect to Dawn for making this analogy. You got people that kick their dogs. You got people that beat their dogs. What do their dog do the next day? Come back and lick their hand. Because that person feeds them. That person is what gives them a house over their head, a roof over their head. That person's the one who put water in their bowl, food in their bowl. See, what people don't understand about Puff is this, is that he held the entertainment grip, especially for the people who was his former artists, in a chokehold. If you didn't do what he say do, if he didn't like you, you would never ever work for Bad Boy or anybody in the entertainment business again. He did it to Kirk Burroughs.
Blackball him.
You understand? He did it to Wendy Williams. He did it to a lot of people, bruh.
Right.
So now her going back is just wanting to get food on her table, keep a roof over her head. Because nobody was probably telling her, yo, I can't work with you. I can't deal with you unless Puff say so. I'm not going to work with you. I'm not going to do anything, because they didn't want to make him mad because he had enough power in the business to stop her. So then she was saying something about, well, she seen this dude one stop selling drugs. You know, oh, did you see him get cash? Who gave him the cash and stuff like that? The good thing that she said it, and then they said, oh, well, you really didn't see him and stuff like that, but she knew of it. They had people come back and say this guy one stop name, you know, so in their testimony.
Right.
And they did a great job in their testimony. Like one of his PA's, personal assistants, did a great job in his testimony. And he said, yeah, I used to pay one stop for the drugs. You know, then we used to get the drugs to D-Rock. He used to have a case with all the drugs in it and stuff like that. Hold a bag with all the drugs and everything and the money in and stuff like that. So now she mentioned that. So now the jury knows she's telling the truth.
Right.
About one stop giving people drugs.
Right.
See, when people look at her, oh, her testimony was terrible. Her testimony, she didn't remember this, she didn't remember that. You ain't got to remember everything.
Right.
But some of us have a great memory, and we do.
Sure do. I sure do.
And I applaud her for even trying. You know
Standing up to
when
him.
in fact, you know what I'm saying, she's a person that is a victim. She's a victim, bro.
She is.
You know, these people who was around him and had to work with him came out, and that's what you find in the trial, that they were being victims.
And see, that's why it was so hot yesterday when we were watching Freddie, and he is just now realizing that when they was doing Making of the Band and Vanity Danity Kane and the other one, a Dirty whatever, that they were being groomed too. It just clicked all these years that PTSD that he had was because of the threats of Diddy long time ago. He just now come to terms with this stuff. And then people are wondering, they're not connecting those dots as to why was it hard, what was going on, why they feel this way, why they angry, why they crying, men crying, because they're realizing now those blackouts they were taken advantage of. They are learning now that they really are victims. And because they couldn't recollect, they didn't realize that they were groomed. Q just now figuring out, well, maybe he figured out some time ago that he was sacrificed by way of Don. We gonna tap into that. But it's a lot coming out, y'all.
And people around them that was there saw it.
Yeah.
Didn't say nothing.
Facts.
And didn't do nothing.
Absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, Dunn, she testified that Diddy, he threw a skillet of eggs at Cassie, right?
Well, I don't know if that was Dawn. What happened was one of the PAs, you know, his personal assistants, I think that was George something. I don't know his last name. I think that was George. He said he came in and he had a bowl of apples, and it was Gina. This nigga was
throwing apples at Gina.
At the lab, man, that he was just throwing them apples as hard as he can, hitting Gina with some apples, dog. That's like throwing a brick at somebody almost. And he was doing crazy shit like that, man. He threw
Emergencies can strike at any time. That's why it's crucial to be prepared.
This is crazy.
Create a support system.
On the plane, what you was trying to say, he threw one of those hard, like it could have been a bourbon glass. You know those hard glasses that you have that you pour alcohol in? And speaking of alcohol, and we said bourbon, that's my alcohol right there. Want it. Get it in the stores. I got to promote it on your show, Mighty. It's wanted. Get it in the stores, y'all.
He should have Diddy picture on it.
We repackaging the bottle. We repackaging everything. And it's going bourbons and cigars, man.
Shout out to Gene Deal for telling it.
Right there. You're going to cut that home, Mighty. But anyway, man, to get back to the story. Oh, he was on a plane and he throwing glasses at Cassie. And then cursed her the F out and told her to go in the back of the plane and sit. And nobody said nothing. Yo, a lot of stuff is coming out in this trial,
Absolutely.
Man. And it's no coming back from this. And I had to hear it, and I had to see it, and I'm glad I heard it. No matter what the outcome is, and I swear for living Jesus, and I know this to be true, if he have any sense, he'll go to the prosecution with his defense team, and he'll tell them, yo, can I still get that 5 years?
Didn't I just say that?
Can I still get that 5 years?
But
now he's at the point where
he need to take a deal.
If they prove this racketeering, they could take all his assets. And I think that's what they're shooting for now. Because everything else, basically.
Didn't I tell y'all they making a sandwich? Didn't I tell y'all they making a sandwich and they gonna eat that ass up? Eat that ass up.
It's gonna be proven or it has been proven.
How did Diddy look appearance-wise?
Thinner. He tried to appear not worried, but I know he's worried. She tried to appear not worried, but he's worried, bro.
He better be.
You understand? You only see basically when you first come in. If you don't see him, you see him leaving when he's looking back or whatever like that. But you only see the back of his head. He didn't really turn that much or look that much, back to the crowd or anything like that. So you couldn't tell. You could tell that it was him, and it was him because it's his trial. But I never seen that much gray in his hair before in my life. You wouldn't even know. You think he was Papa Diddy. Papa Diddy Pop. Yo, he had so much gray in his hair, bro. So I don't understand why he just don't cut it down or cut it bald so you really couldn't tell like that. But I guess that's what he choose to do.
Kid Cudi, how you feel about him testifying against Diddy?
Well, he testified, and I think he was more. He was very entertaining. He had everybody laughing and like that. You know what I mean? But he testified to somebody coming in his house because he would leave his door open, and it was around Christmas time, and they took all the gifts out the wrappers. He didn't say they took the gifts. You know what I'm saying? I can't recall he said they took the gifts. They just took them off the wrappers. I guess they was looking for something. I don't know what it was. You know what I'm saying? They locked his dog in another room. You understand? They didn't really ramshack anything like that. You know, ain't terrible nothing like that. And then he testified to somebody allegedly Diddy bombing his car, but he didn't say Diddy until the end. You know, he said that him and Diddy was having a lot of beefs and problems because he had found out that he was talking with Cassie, and him and Cassie was dealing with each other. So he was acting like that he wanted to fight Diddy. He was going to meet Diddy so they could have a one-on-one. He was going to fight Diddy. And he said Diddy was standing up there in the middle. He was at this big window, and he was standing in the middle like he was some kind of superhero, some kind of Avenger or something like that, with his hand behind his back. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I thought that was really entertaining. And then the prosecution went on and had him describe the stuff that Cassie was going through. And did he ever see Cassie with bruises and scars on her and stuff like that? He testified yes. He testified that she told him it came from Diddy. He testified that when him and Cassie stopped dealing with each other and stuff like that, his car ended up blowing up. But Diddy didn't know they had stopped dealing with each other. And so then the prosecution asked him, like, yo, did you believe him when he told you that he didn't blow up your car? He said, nah, I knew he was lying. You understand? But I thought it was funny where he said he was going to fight Diddy. I don't think he would have had a chance with Diddy. My own personal opinion. But who knows? After all the drugs and alcohol, Diddy probably wasn't the same dude he was in the 90s and early 2000s. And I know people gonna say, yo, Diddy only beat women and shit like that. I seen him took some niggas down. I seen him took some big guys down, some guys a little bit bigger than him. You understand? He knows who to mess with, I guess. But I seen some dudes who thought they had him and grabbed him, and he ended up slamming them. You know what I mean? So, you know, it is what it is. I know people gonna say, you know, be trolling like, yo, this, that, and the third. But I don't think the average dude gonna run up on him and think that he ain't gonna defend himself. And because he can and he will. You know, the one I knew. You know, there's so many different, it's the Puff Daddy, the Diddy, the Love, the Brother Love. You know, there's so many different people inside this month, you never know. So I know one thing that I don't believe if I had to put my house up, my money up, you know what I'm saying? And Puff heyday, I would go with Puff. I would go with him. Against a dude that's gonna wear a dress.
Right. So you was up there when Kid Cudi testified. You ain't tell me that, yo.
No, bro, I came into court, but I had to go to the, it was late, so I had to go to they had the overflow court. You know what I'm saying? When you don't come early, you have to go to the overflow court. So most of my time was in the overflow court. And that's why I seen the Kid Cudi, the last of all the, what you call that?
I wondered if Diddy see him. I wonder if he gonna say
of all the what you call it? The Kid Cudi was off, and then all the other people, the psych, the the makeup artist, and the
therapist, the psychiatrist, the doctor,
personal assistant, the makeup artist, the psych, and computer genius. I mean the computer investigator for the feds. And I seen the rest of those.
From the testimony that Kid Cudi gave, do you think it was a bad look for Diddy? You think it's going to have an effect on Diddy winning the case?
None of it's a good look for him. But it would affect him in a matter whereas that people are building an atmosphere. Whereas that if he didn't do it, his enterprise, people from his enterprise did
it. Absolutely.
People from where he worked, that's what racketeering come in at. He had people that worked for him to do his dirty deeds. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where that come in at. So his testimony of somebody doing this stuff because he was dealing with Cassie helps the racketeering case for the government. Because he had people that work for him that he's paying to do things like that for him. So the jury was looking that Kid Cudi did a great job. You could tell the jury was entertained by Kid Cudi, bro. Not only were they entertained, because some of them, they try to keep a straight face if they laughed in all 9 yards. But what happens is this. They believed him. They believed him. And they was waiting for the defense to jump on top of Kid Cudi like they jumped on all the rest of the people as far as Dawn and the people that testified, against Diddy. That was going at Diddy. And what happened was when the lawyer got ready to do the redirect to go at Kid Cudi, Puff told him no. And the jury saw that, bro. The jury saw that.
T-Sippers, I told y'all, see, he is his own attorney. They sitting there, but like when Cassie was on there, they could not even prepare their case or whatever they prepared. They could not present it because he was still trying to control Cassie with them sticky notes. Asked her this, asked her that, asked her this. So how can they respond? How everything that they had worked on, they're not able to present because he is now being one of the chairs on the lawyer team. So he's acting as his own attorney. Yeah. So that's what he doing there. And that's why he was like, no. And he stopped them. Because they could have tried to trip him up. He wouldn't let him. You know why? Because what they was going to ask him, what Kid Cudi was saying was true. And he did do all of that. And that's why he don't want them to cross-examine him.
They jumped on all the rest of the people as far as Dawn and the people that testify, against Diddy, that was going at Diddy. And what happened was when the lawyer got ready to do the redirect to go at Kid Cudi, Puff told him no. And the jury saw that, bro. The jury saw that. Puff's like, nah, don't ask him no more questions. Now he paying all these lawyers all this money to defend him. And that's what that narcissism come in at. Like he know everything. I don't know what he thought they would have pulled out of him or said or stopped or he was killing him or whatever it was Kid Cudi was doing up there. He didn't want to hear or see no more of it. Well, he told his own lawyers, don't redirect, don't say nothing. So they ain't even question Kid Cudi.
Because he felt like
And
they was
that's
going to
crazy,
set him up.
because what a lawyer wants to do, all lawyers wants to do, is get the last word. The last word. They want to go at them and get the last word.
He not
to make
allowing them
sure
to do their job.
that their client is all right. But when Puff did that, you should have seen the face on those jurors' face when he did that. I think that's going to be one of the things that bury him, to make them believe that he directed everybody to do the things that happened. I can't believe that he stopped his lawyers, bruh. He stopped.
He's a narcissist.
They believed him. They believed him. And they was waiting for the defense to jump on top of Kid Cudi like they jumped on all the rest of the people, as far as Dawn and the people that testified, you know what I'm saying, against Diddy, that was going at Diddy. And what happened was, when the lawyer got ready to do the redirect to go at Kid Cudi, Puff told him no. And the jury saw that, bro. The jury saw that. Puff's like, nah, don't ask him no more questions. Now he paying all these lawyers all this money to defend him. And that's what that narcissism come in at. Like he know everything. I don't know what he thought they would have pulled out of him or said or stopped, or he was killing him, or whatever it was Kid Cudi was doing up there. He didn't want to hear or see no more of it. Well, he told his own lawyers, don't redirect, don't say nothing. So they ain't even question Kid Cudi. And that's crazy, because what a lawyer wants to do, all lawyers wants to do, is get the last word. The last word. They want to go at them and get the last word to make sure that their client
Max
is
to the
all right.
biggie.
But when Puff did that, you should have seen the face on those jurors' face when he did that. I think that's going to be one of the things that bury him, to make them believe that he directed everybody to do the things that happened. I can't believe that he stopped his lawyers, bruh. He stopped his lawyers for doing a redirect on Kid Cudi so they could try to, you know, have the jury thinking a different way. But I guess because Kid Cudi was so entertaining that it made him feel like he wasn't the main focus in the room anymore.
Oh, he wasn't, because Kid Cudi kind of cute. Now, I don't know about all that wigs and dressing up funny. I don't know if that was Halloween or not, but, you know, he ain't no ugly cat. And he he went through them presents because Cassie and them was talking about they was in love, and he wanted to see if he had a ring for Cassie. He was going to take that ring. Yeah, he wanted to see if those were gifts for Cassie. Absolutely. Let's go to the next one. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's good. It's good today, baby. It's a whole bunch of going on. Please get the likes up. Support the platform. Like, share, and subscribe. Hold on. Yeah, I wish Max Boogie a happy belated birthday. It's her birthday weekend. That's my girl. Max to the booger, booger, booger down. What we got up next? What's next? Let's watch this one. I'm telling y'all, it's the build up for me.
His car set on fire and an ominous warning from Combs. Plus, more claims from... But on to another big story. And 2 weeks of testimony in the Sean Combs federal sex crimes trial, wrapping up with dramatic allegations, including a break-in at rapper Kid Cudi. But on to another big story. And 2 weeks of testimony in the Sean Combs federal sex crimes trial, wrapping up with dramatic allegations, including a break-in at rapper Kid Cudi's home his car set on fire, and an ominous warning from Combs. Plus, more claims from former employees about the assaults and injuries ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura says she endured. Jurors now.
Okay, so y'all, as we go forward, I need for y'all to remember what Jean just said about how they are stacking it up, preparing it for the racketeering. We are about to see it. It's coming. They layering of the sandwich. Okay, let's go.
Holiday weekend. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all federal charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking by force. So here now to break down this high-profile trial, criminal defense attorney Joshua Ritter, host of the Courtroom Confidential podcast. Joshua, great to see you. All right, so I want to talk about some of this testimony. Kid Cudi testified about his home being broken into, his car set on fire. We've also heard from a male escort who testified to creating, quote, sexy scenes with Cassie under the direction of Sean Combs, and then Diddy's former assistant who testified to seeing Combs assault another girlfriend. Which one of these three men do you think potentially had the most impact?
I actually think it's Kid Cudi, and that's because the things that he is testifying to brings us outside of the realm of domestic violence and these kind of sex crimes that we've been hearing a lot about. Remember, in a racketeering case, they have to show a criminal enterprise and these ongoing criminal predicate acts that we refer to them as. Something like arson, something like that car bombing that Kid Cudi testified to, the break-in, residential
no bots,
burglary,
baby.
all of those things start to paint the picture that this is far more than just a
no bots, baby,
or abusive man. That this is someone who is willing to extend beyond that and commit crimes, and that I think is really moving the needle as far as the racketeering charges go.
All right.
So yeah, he cute.
Both sides.
Hey, self-made.
This victim 3, this also known as
hey, plus size baddie.
Although she is now not expected to testify. First of all, what are your thoughts on
they
how
said
she
they done
fits
found
into
her.
all of this?
They said she in protective custody.
If the jury doesn't actually hear from her directly.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for the prosecution to actually establish the elements that they need for her charges if she does not testify. And I imagine if they are not able to either locate or get her to cooperate, they may not go into closing arguments with those charges still attached to the case. But if they are able to prove up those charges with her or without her, it goes further towards this idea of sex trafficking, this idea of sexual.
With her or without her. With her or without her. So they still pressing on. I'm pressing my way.
Exploitation.
Yeah.
And again, towards the racketeering. You know, all of this kind of fits into that overall scheme of a criminal enterprise. But I think when the government starts to extend beyond the freak-offs and beyond the abuse, they start to paint a fuller picture for the jury of just really how this person operated like a criminal.
So yeah, Joshua, let's talk about that. I was just talking to somebody here at work yesterday, saying that they don't feel like they're seeing that this is actually, you know, federal crimes have been committed. Do you feel like the prosecution up to this point is doing a good job of laying out the framework of Combs, you know, allegedly having this criminal enterprise to build this racketeering case against him?
I agree with your coworkers that you were speaking with. There was a problem. There was a lot of questions of, you know, we saw a lot of evidence of crimes to extend beyond the freak-offs and beyond the abuse. They start to paint a fuller picture for the jury of just really how this person operated like a criminal.
So yeah, Joshua, let's talk about that. I was just talking to somebody here at work yesterday, saying that they don't feel like they're seeing that this is actually, you know, federal crimes have been committed. Do you feel like the prosecution up to this point is doing a good job of laying out the framework of Combs, you know, allegedly having this criminal enterprise to build this racketeering case against him?
I agree with your coworkers that you were speaking with. There was a problem. There was a lot of questions of, we saw a lot of evidence of crimes, and those crimes were domestic violence type crimes and sexual assault type crimes. But where was this federal racketeering moving into this? It's a complicated law, and it does require certain acts to show that this was in furtherance of a overall criminal enterprise and other people working in concert with that. And it seemed like most of the witnesses were just testifying to this relationship and corroborating Cassie's claims of suffering at the hands of Diddy. But now, like I said, with Kid Cudi and some of these other witnesses, his assistant talking about an attempt to hunt down Suge Knight at one point armed with weapons, this starts to, like I said, now fill in those pieces and create this fuller kind of tapestry for the jury of understanding how this was a criminal enterprise. They were all serving the ongoing needs of Sean Combs, and that's why the racketeering charges might be more applicable from this time moving forward.
All right, so Joshua, there's been a lot of salacious testimony, a lot of shocking testimony, but it's been just that, basically, setting the scene with words. Do you think the jury will be shown the actual video footage of any of these so-called freak-offs?
I think they might need to, because of the point that you just made. It's one thing to hear from witnesses,
but it's
fill in those pieces and create this fuller kind of tapestry for the jury of understanding how this was a criminal enterprise. They were all serving the ongoing needs of Sean Combs, and that's why the racketeering charges might be.
Are you speaking today, African motherland? African motherland. Let's see if you are a bot. Let's see if you are a Diddy bot. Did you speak, African motherland? Because you say the same thing. I think you one of them bots. When did you speak to me coming in over here? Did you say, hi, AunTeaFee, a salute or whatever? Or you just coming in talking about, I'm a Diddy lover and he gonna come stay with me? Oh, okay, let's go. Hello.
More applicable from this time moving forward.
I guess you're not a bot.
A lot of salacious testimony, a lot of shocking testimony, but it's been just that, basically, setting the scene with words.
Okay.
Do you think the jury will be shown the actual video footage of any of these so-called freak-offs?
I think they might need to, because of the point that you just made. It's one thing to hear from witnesses. It's another thing to have witnesses further corroborate those witnesses' claims, but it is something else entirely for them to actually see videotape. If they have videotape, not just capturing what
you stay like in here, because I got some treats for you today. You stay your butt in here.
A party that none of us might quite be able to wrap our heads around, but actual
don't you go nowhere.
People being forced to do things. That's going to be very impactful evidence. If the government actually has it, I would be surprised if they did not use it.
And last question for you. We've been looking at this from the prosecution side. Let's look at this from the defense side. Do you think the defense, at least to this point, is successfully countering these assertions from the prosecution?
I think you have to admit that they've made some headway along the way. I don't know if they've done enough to create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors, but when they're asking questions, certainly with their cross-examination of Cassie that took place a few days ago, when they're showing text messages that show her anticipating, looking forward to, sometimes planning some of these freak-offs, then you start to create questions of how much was this done without the consent of the people involved. Yes, maybe inside of their head they didn't want to take part of it. Maybe they. I would be surprised if they did videotape, not just
drugs,
capturing
alcohol,
what looks like
who you are.
An elaborate party or.
Drugs, I don't know, but I know I've had a cocktail or two. I've had an aspirin before, and it ain't never changed me. But alcohol and drugs, if it changes you to the point where you force people to do things that are illegal, if it forces you to operate a enterprise with a mob style activities, then them drugs and alcohol gonna send you away to prison. That's no excuse. Okay, did you hear her say that she didn't want to do it, and she only wanted to be freaky with him? You didn't hear her say that? Because that came out. She said these type of things that I'm doing, I want to do them with you. I want to feel safe. That means she didn't feel safe and protected. She didn't feel that. And she said that she wanted it to be with him, not them other people. You didn't hear her say that? Oh, you didn't hear her say that? Oh, okay. Did you hear when she said that she didn't want to do the freak off? She said she wanted to talk to him about the freak off. And then she said, but I'll talk to you later. And he said, no, go ahead now. Is this gonna stress me out? And then that's when he said, what? So what? You don't want to do it? And she said, no. And he said, you so predictable. You don't remember him saying that? You don't remember him saying what? So you don't want to do it? She said no. He said, you're so predictable. What about kissing? She said yes. But guess what? He made her get down anyway. Yes, because she had already said she didn't want to do it. See, you look over when she has said she wanted it, and then you look over it when she says she didn't want it. She has the right to say she didn't want it. Now, Africa, I hope that you're not forcing yourself on people when they say they don't want it, and then, because in your mind you saying, yes, she did, because that's going to get you locked up.
A party that none of us might be able to wrap our heads
no
around.
means no. At whatever point it becomes no.
To do things, that's going to be very impactful evidence. If the government actually has it, I would be surprised if they did not use it.
And last question for you. We've been looking at this from the prosecution side. Let's look at this from the defense side. Do you think the defense, at least to this point, is successfully countering these?
So you one of them type people that in your mind, no don't mean no. No don't mean no. When somebody say no, they say it. You one of the ones in their ear saying, you know you want it. You know you want it. Oh, okay. Because you know that happens, right? Somebody will tell them, no, I don't want to. And they be in their ear saying, you know you want it. You know you want it. And slide it in at the same damn time. And they saying no. Because you do know that's right. 8. That's 8. That's great. Minus the G. Yeah. Okay.
Execution.
I think you have to admit that they've made some headway along the way. I don't know if they've done enough to create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors, but when they're asking questions, certainly with their cross-examination of Cassie that took place a few days ago, when they're showing text messages that show her anticipating, looking forward to, sometimes planning some of these freak-offs, then you start to create questions of how much was this done without the consent of the people involved. Yes, maybe inside of their head they didn't want to take part of it. Maybe it wasn't something that they enjoyed doing, but that's a very different thing from saying this was non-consensual, this was forced upon them by fear or other power tactics. And that's really what needs to be proven to the jury. And I think the defense has done a serviceable job up to this point of calling that into question.
I want to ask you something, since you are a criminal defense attorney. Earlier this week, we saw that the defense opted not to cross-examine Cassie's mom, Regina. Do you think that was a good idea?
Strategically, I think it was smart. I mean, with the small...
You're going to make me go out of order. Dang it, I don't want to go out of order.
Backfired with the jury. A lot of this is about optics, right? You got to think, is the juice worth the squeeze? Am I going to come after this woman who's just talking about protecting her
I know you lying. I know you lying. I know you lying, African Now you gonna make me turn the camera around, and I really am not trying to do that. Not today. You gonna make me I'm not gonna play with you.
Questions of how much.
So you saying defense
the consent
has
of
made
the people involved? Yes, maybe inside of
no,
their head they didn't want to take part of it. Maybe they,
so what about other people?
That they enjoy doing, but
what about?
That's a very different thing from.
So you telling me somebody's panties got to be off? They panties got to be out for it. I'm not gonna play with you. All he have to do is pull it over at the side. Move the panties over. So you telling me ain't nobody had nothing slid in them with their panties still on? Oh Lord, not big pressure in Africa. Oh. So you trying to tell me ain't nobody slid in there when somebody's panties was on by moving them over to the side? We finna have to do this today? Stop that. When a man wanted to go in, they will slide it over. Real quick, fast, in a hurry. To try to slide it on in real quick. As if that's gonna make that no turn yes. It's still a no. With the panties on. How about that?
This was forced upon them by fear or other power tactics. And that's really what needs to be.
Who says she was?
I think the defense.
Who says she was? Okay, so you trolling now. I'm not gonna stop with you no more. He got that looby shit on. What is it? Electro glide, slide, slippery slide? Sail on. That's what you do. Just slide in. Slide, slide, slippery slide. Yeah. Ain't he over in the corner? Struck it with the strong hand? Don't he got that slippery slide shit on his hand? Why is his hand wet?
Serviceable job.
I'm not going to play with you today.
Calling that into question.
I want to ask you something since you are a criminal defense attorney. Earlier this week, we saw that the defense opted not to cross-examine Cassie's mom, Regina. Do you think that was a good idea?
Strategically, I think it was smart.
Now I even hear what he says. Stop messing with me. Let's go.
Going to be very impactful evidence. If the government actually has it, I would be surprised if they did not.
Oh, they got it.
A party that none of us might quite be able to wrap our heads around. But actual assaults, people being forced to do things, that's going to be very impactful evidence. If the government actually has it, I would be surprised if they did not use it.
And last question for you. You know, we've been looking at this from the prosecution side. Let's look at this from the defense side. Do you think the defense, at least to this point, is successfully countering these assertions from the prosecution?
I think you have to admit that they've made some headway along the way. I don't know if they've done enough to create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors, but when they're asking questions, certainly with their cross-examination of Cassie that took place a few days ago, when they're showing text messages that show her anticipating, looking forward to, sometimes planning some of these freak-offs,
slide,
create questions of how much was this done without the consent of the people involved. Yes, maybe inside of their head they didn't want to take part of it. Maybe it wasn't something that they enjoyed doing. But
what you mean inside of their head? What you mean that maybe inside of their head they didn't want what?
Planning some of these freak-offs. Then you start to create questions of how much was the. But when they're asking questions, certainly with their cross-examination of Cassie that took place a few days ago, when they're showing text messages that show her anticipating, looking forward to, sometimes planning some of these freak-offs, then you start to create questions of how much was this done without the consent of the people involved. Yes, maybe inside of their head they didn't want to take part of it. Maybe it wasn't something that they enjoyed doing, but that's a very different thing from saying this was non-consensual, this was forced upon them by fear or other power tactics. And that's really what needs to be proven to the jury. And I think the defense has done a serviceable job up to this point of calling that into question.
I want to ask you something, since you are a criminal defense attorney. Earlier this week, we saw that the defense opted not to cross-examine Cassie's mom, Regina. Do you think that was a good idea?
Strategically, I think it was smart. I mean, with the small points they may have been able to
gonna
score
make
with
me
her,
go
how
out of
would have
order.
that maybe perhaps backfired with the jury. A lot of this is about optics, right? You got to think, is the juice worth the squeeze? Am I going to come after this woman who's just talking about protecting her daughter for a couple of, minor points and inconsistencies I could point out, and will the jury hold that against me for actually coming after the mother? There's sometimes a strategy in just saying, thank you for being here, sorry for the trouble, but we have no questions for you.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. All right, criminal defense attorney Joshua Ritter, thank you so much.
Thank you.
No. That's just one. Hold on.
Below and download our
Hold on.
Midation app right now on your phone, and you will
That's
get
just one.
fact-based.
That's just one. It's a whole bunch of them.
If they find him guilty,
Hold on. Let me go here.
Judge,
Hold on. Oh, but I need for you to make sure you stay, baby, because I got a treat just for you. You, and you. You're gonna love it.
Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith
So
Show.
what you gonna say
Now,
when
on
y'all
to the
find out
latest
it's
in the
more?
Sean
It's a
Diddy
whole
Combs
bunch of
trial,
them.
where Diddy is facing 5 federal
Hush.
charges involving sex trafficking and racketeering. The trial is wrapping up a second full week of testimony. This week, we heard testimony from Combs' former personal assistant, David James, who testified he told Cassie Ventura, Combs' former girlfriend, that she needed to, quote, get out, end quote. But Ventura claimed she couldn't because Combs controlled so much of her life. On Tuesday, we heard testimony from Regina Ventura, the mother
slide
of
right
Cassie
into the
Ventura,
truth.
who told jurors that she was, quote, scared for my daughter's safety, end quote, and that she documented the physical abuse Cassie suffered at the hands of Combs, who prosecutors claim coerced the younger Ventura and others into participating in drug-fueled sex shows. And yesterday, jurors heard testimony from musician and actor Kid Cudi. He told the court that he briefly dated Cassie Ventura, and he believes the rap mogul, in a fit of rage and jealousy, broke into his home and coordinated the firebombing of his high-end sports car. He said the pair dated only briefly, but yet it was marked by violent threats from Combs that prompted him and Ventura to stop seeing one another. Well, we know that's bad. We know that's bad, and I got a lot of stuff to say about that, but
Is this the right
not at
one?
the
Hold
expense
on.
of taking time away from my next guest, who is a legal analyst for ABC, obviously a sports center anchor for ESPN, does an outstanding job for the Disney family, the one and only Ryan Smith, legal analyst extraordinaire, right
Let's
here
go.
with Stephen A. How you doing, Ryan? How's everything?
Yeah, man, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. So you heard that intro, and is there anything there that you believe is ultra damaging to Diddy, considering the charge is sex trafficking and racketeering? I mean, we know it doesn't look good for him, domestic violence and how people feared for their lives. We get that part. But I'm still waiting to hear about sex trafficking and racketeering. Is there anything that you heard over the last week or so that would indicate such a charge is valid?
AunTeaFee, please accept
Absolutely.
the truth.
But I think the way people have to look at it is they have to look at it as a very broad puzzle that's being put together.
A broad puzzle. A broad puzzle. He said a broad puzzle. I say they making a sandwich so they can eat that ass up. Let's go.
Stephen A. They look for that smoking gun. Oh, this is the thing that proves that Diddy ran a criminal enterprise and he had all these people involved to facilitate this criminal activity over a period of years. That's essentially the racketeering part. But you have to put it together methodically. So what you have is Cassie talking about what happened to her, other people talking about what they experienced. You have people coming in talking about being flown in, doing freak-offs in different states. That gives it a federal aspect. And then you have assistants talking about cleaning up, people telling Cassie different things, but she's feeling coerced to stay into relationships. That's part of the sex trafficking case. So all of this, as hard as it might be for people to seem, all of this are pieces of a puzzle that are slowly coming together to prove the case.
Y'all gonna make me go out of order.
I'm wondering how damaging her mother's testimony was to Diddy as opposed to herself. I mean, you're her mother. What do you mean you was worried about your daughter's safety, but still, you know, you allowed the situation to continue for a lengthy period of time, spanning years. I don't know how believable the mom comes across when you suddenly say you were so worried about your daughter's safety. Nevertheless, we don't see was there any effort whatsoever to relieve your daughter from being in that situation.
You know, that's part of the defense's case right there. They're going to make the argument that, hey, she was voluntarily in a relationship and you didn't help get her out. But I like that you use the word allow, because that's what the prosecution is really trying to hook onto. They're trying to hook onto the idea that there was no allowing because the tentacles were so deep into Cassie, the coercion was so strong, it was almost as if she wasn't able to get out. Now, I know people are going to hear that and say, look, she had free will. She was in this relationship for so long. There were many things she could have done. Absolutely. But I think part of what what the prosecution is trying to show here with sex trafficking is the coercion can be so strong. The elements of bringing somebody in, having them used for a commercial sex act, and then using force, coercion, threats, things like that to keep them in the activity makes it hard for the person to get out. You've heard people talk about how
what he said. Can somebody tell me what he said?
Everything I have is tied into this in many.
What he said?
You was worried about your daughter's safety, but still,
that's the mama fault.
You allowed
it's everybody's fault except Diddy
for a lengthy period of time, spanning years. I don't know how believable the mom comes across when you suddenly say you were so worried about your daughter's safety. Nevertheless, we don't see was there any effort whatsoever to relieve your daughter from being in that situation.
You know, that's part of the defense's case right there. They're going to make the argument that, hey, she was voluntarily in a relationship and you didn't help get her out. But I like that you use the word allow, because that's what the prosecution is really trying to hook onto. They're trying to hook onto the idea that there was no allowing because the tentacles were so deep into Cassie, the coercion was so strong, it was almost as if she wasn't able to get out. Now, I know people are going to hear that and say, look, she had free will. She was in this relationship for so long. There were many things she could have done. Absolutely. But I think part of what the prosecution is trying to show here with sex trafficking is the coercion can be so strong. The elements of bringing somebody in, having them used for a commercial sex act, and then using force, coercion, threats, things like that to keep them in the activity makes it hard for the person to get out. You've heard people talk about how Cassie said, hey, everything I have is tied into this in many ways. I'm paraphrasing. But when you have that kind of situation, the allowing part goes away. And for the prosecution, it's about proving it wasn't about allowing. She could not get out of this thing because of the criminal enterprise that existed.
Well, here's the interesting part, too, because David James, the former personal assistant, said that he had told Cassie to get out. Excuse me, but she said she couldn't get out. Why? Because she couldn't because Combs controlled so much of her life. So now we get into a tricky portion of it, Ryan. There's bosses, there's always, if you're in a subordinate role, there's always someone who could have some degree of control over your career. But that control is relatively subjective. Like certain situations you walk away from, you say, hell no, I'm not dealing with that. Bye, I'll walk out. So one could easily argue, what do you mean control? Because if he wasn't stopping you from walking out the door, if he wasn't stopping you from walking on with your life, but you just may not have enjoyed the level of success that you're having right now, yeah, that's not great. But in the same breath, a lot of people in America have to deal with circumstances, not obviously the sex acts and all of that stuff, but I'm talking about the level of control an individual with power may have over somebody's career. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I say that what you're talking about essentially is consent. You're talking about a situation where people can walk away. And I think that's a great point. But the flip side of that is she in a situation, and I'm not making the case for her, but I'm kind of coming from where the prosecution is coming from. It's so deep in some ways. And this is where things come in, like the drugging and the threats and the violence.
Absolutely. How can anybody say no, there was no force when somebody had to drug you? Then motherfucker. So he got it in the vaccine. Hell you mean? So force right there, because you are force and you forcing drugs upon somebody. You got a whole pharmacy. A whole pharmacy of illegal drugs. So there ain't no consent.
Deep the coercion and the control that the person feels like there is not a way out of the situation. Despite what assistants are saying, despite what the mother is talking about, people urging her to get out. That's part
Y'all
of the
gonna make me go out of order.
And that's how it broadens out to the commercial to the criminal, to the RICO enterprise that they're alleging, and the sex trafficking. That in many of these cases.
So now we get with somebody's career. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I say that what you're talking about essentially is consent. You're talking about a situation where people can walk away. And I think that's a great point.
He a killer, all right, a big slump.
Is she in a situation?
He a killer, all right, because he think it's okay to take the cookie. He be killing that cookie. Even because no don't mean no to them. No means yes because she a thought. No means yes because, whatever. Yeah, he'll kill her, all right.
But I'm kind of coming from where the prosecution is coming from. It's
Killer
so
cookie
deep
monster.
in some ways. And this is where things come in, like the drugging and the threats and the violence. It's so deep, the coercion and the control, that the person feels like there is not a way out of the situation, despite what assistants are saying, despite what the mother is talking about, people urging her to get out. That's part of the case they're trying to build. And that's how it broadens out to the commercial, to the criminal, to the RICO enterprise that they're alleging, and the sex trafficking. That in many of these cases, people are in a situation, they're being engaged for this sex act, and that the coercion, the threats, all of that, the violence, it's so powerful. Hey, I'll give an example here. Hey, if you leave, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. The drugging. Cassie testified about how the drugging went on for a long period of time, as did the freak-offs, that she's in this sort of fog and this haze. All of that stuff contributing to the fact that the aspect of control that some of us might feel like we have at, say, at a job where we're being mistreated and we want to leave and we just walk, is different from this circumstance here. That's how they're trying to paint it.
So with that being said, I'm looking at Diddy right now, and it doesn't look good for him. There's no way around that.
So y'all gonna act like every time she tried to leave, he went and found her? She left and she was dating somebody else. He went, got her, went to the dude's house, walked in his home, threw a cocktail in his car, called him and said, I'm here. Come on, bring that ass here. I'm here. Come on. I just want to talk. He in the man's house going through gifts. He forced himself in the house by walking in somebody's property. And you really think that somebody can leave him? Putting some people dog up, kicking them and doing all type of stupid shit. But y'all want me to believe that she could leave. When she did leave, he went and got her.
I myself.
Just like a pimp. Just like a pimp. Do his main B. And drag him back.
Asking Ryan, where are the other villains in all of this? Who are they? Because sex trafficking and racketeering, one man, one individual. I don't want to accuse the district attorney of grandstanding, but most people out here feel like we need to see more than just Diddy. If it's as complicated.
Why are we getting brand new on that? Who else went down with R. Kelly? Who went down with R. Kelly? Why are we acting like this is the first time we done seen one person get taken down with a racketeering? And they locked that ass up. They locked that ass up. One more time. Lock that ass up. One man racketeering. This is not the first time. Hello, D. So why, Stephen, why you acting like you don't know Ira Kelly was one man by himself? Yeah, stop playing in our face.
As they're trying to make this all seem. To that you say what?
Yeah, to that I say they're using assistants and other people they're giving immunity.
Absolutely.
So you've heard people talk who have immunity in this case who've said, hey, I was a part of this. I cleaned up certain things. I tried to get her out of there. I saw some of this stuff go down. And that's where the conspiracy aspect of this, that's where we start seeing, as they see it, an enterprise being built.
Did y'all hear him with y'all good ear?
Every day is special.
Did y'all hear him with y'all good ear?
That's where
He telling y'all right
seeing,
there.
as they see it.
Right there.
The aspect of control that some of us might feel like we have.
It's all seen. To that you say what?
Hold on.
Yeah, to that.
Cause see, this is where y'all get lost in the sauce. See, Cassie been having her money. A few years ago. She signed that disclosure. So she didn't have no reason to say nothing about her money until the feds came knocking at that door and saying, excuse me, were you a part of this organized crime? Did you call? Did you set some of this up? Did you have sex with these triple X, So you was a part of this organized crime. So either, y'all remember last week I said either you're going to be a cooperating witness or you are a co-conspirator. Right now, everybody must be a cooperating witness. Real simple. I mean, we got to stop playing dumb, people. So her being on the witness stand don't have nothing to do with being a money grab. Her being on the witness stand and everybody else who's testifying against him getting immunity because they was a part of an enterprise, illegal racketeering, and they gonna tell what they did. They part of the organization. Cause he the head honcho. His sister said, this is he the king, and we all here to work for him. So that we cannot get brand new, and we cannot act like we don't know why people are now testifying against him. It don't have nothing to do with a money grab. She done already got her money years ago. The other girl he beat with a clothes hanger, wooden clothes hanger, she got her money years ago. But because they went along with some of this stuff, looking over it by force or coercion, they would have been co-conspirators. So either you're going to tell us what you did, or Bob was going to plead the fifth. He started telling what he did once he got immunity. They making a sandwich. Fifth floor. Bruh man. Mod. That's what's happening. Let's go.
I say they're using assistants and other people they're giving immunity. So you've heard
said,
people talk who have immunity in this case who've said, hey, I was a part of this. I cleaned up certain things. I tried to get her out of there. I saw some of this stuff go down. And that's where the conspiracy aspect of this, that's where we start seeing, as they see it, an enterprise being built, operated by Diddy associated with it, to try to make these things happen over a period of years. That's where we see the freak-off context come in. But you're talking about a different situation. You're talking about the bigger names, the people who might have been involved. They're not approaching that just yet. Is that a part of where they might go in some ways? Possibly.
Okay, question on TV. Does Trump file an investigation on Beyonce, Oprah, said have had anything? No, I don't think so. No, because a big slump. Truth be told, if them feds really, especially in Miami, in Florida, got the freak off tapes and stuff, I'm sure Trump may be on some of that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump, because you know he like Humpty Trumpty. He liked sticking his hand in females' panties. Y'all remember? That's what he told that guy Billy. And when the mic was hot and Billy had to get fired. You remember that? He said, "Go on, stick your couple of fingers on up in there, get that out that cookie, you know, the Oreo cookie." All he wanted was the white, the cream. You remember that slump? Don't make me clown. Don't make me clown. No, I don't think. I think this has a lot to do with Jonathan Dottie. Yeah, that part. Yeah. So no, I don't. I think it's Jonathan Dottie. I think that when he had that meltdown and shot up Trump Tower, and he started asking for Secret Service, FBI, CIA, and he started talking about Sean Diddy being a triple X slave for him and Cassie. He talked about, did you ever see Jonathan, Big Slump? Do you know who Jonathan Oddie is? He gave Rick Ross, DJ Khaled, he said that they have liquefied drugs. While he was being a triple X slave for them, he said Diddy was on the phone conducting business all the time. So he was stroking his Tootsie Roll and he was doing business. So he heard them liquefying drugs and moving it on the private jets. So I believe it was really Jonathan Oddie. And because they gave him, he said Diddy gave him the hurt, the earth. I think that's what triggered it off, because they paid him $3 to $5 million a few years ago. I think that is what really got the ball rolling.
But I think for them, it's easier to get the people who they know were involved based on all the evidence they secured.
And he
say,
coming.
hey, we're going to offer you an immunity if you tell us what happened. And I think for many people, this is going to be
thought he was
interesting
crazy.
for the jury. Because the jury is hearing all this. And just remember, when you hear all of this, it's important for the prosecution that the jury not hear Diddy as a bad guy or a weird guy or a guy who does crazy things, but not criminal things. The criminal part comes in when you start bringing in the associates who talk about all the different levels of things that happened. One person testified about carrying a bag of cash. Another person talked about the payoff that was made to the hotel. All these different things to sustain the criminal enterprise. It's those people, those underlings, all those associates that he had with him that they want to get to try to build that enterprise, not the big names that you might be thinking of.
What about the actual sex itself? And what I mean by that, Ryan, is this. If you were one of those individuals that engaged in the actual sexual activity, you are being somebody that was a participant. But isn't it possible that you may have had nothing to do with the actual sex trafficking and racketeering allegations? You were just a participant engaging in sexual activity?
That's right. And they had a couple people, they had some people testify like that. They had a guy testify, his nickname is the Punisher, talked about how he was hired to have sex with Cassie. He's not somebody who's part of the enterprise. Who he is somebody who was engaged to come in and have this sex trafficking activity with Cassie. The other reason why you bring in a guy like that is he talked about how freak-offs happened in different states. Now you're seeing the federal aspect of this.
In different what? In different what? In different what? Oh, they moving the party? Oh, they moving the party. They have a party in Miami. They have one in California. They have them in New York. Oh, so they moving. Oh.
Not a state case, which is why you could allege
Racketeering allegations, you were just a participant engaging in sexual activity?
That's right. And they had a couple of people, they had some people testify like that. They had a guy testify, his nickname is the Punisher, talked about how he was hired to have sex with Cassie. He's not somebody who's part of the enterprise. Who he is somebody who was engaged to come in and have this sex trafficking activity with Cassie. The other reason why you bring in a guy like that is he talked about how freak-offs happened in different states. Now you're seeing the federal aspect of this case, which is why it's a federal case and not a state case, which is why you can allege things like RICO, which is why some of these charges, which involve interstate commerce, come into play. Because some of these activities they're alleging for the prosecution, they're saying Diddy had these things. He controlled his enterprise over multiple states, and he brought people in to engage in this sex to continue the means of what he wanted to do. He used all these, this largesse he had, this power, this influence to create
Power
this
and
enterprise
influence.
using these people.
But
I know,
but where are the other women other than Cassie who are alleged to have been participants in all of this?
I think they're going to start trying to weave some of those people in because it's not just about.
Oh no, it's not just about Cassie. Oh, we again, like I said yesterday, we ain't got to the party, the after party to the after party of the house parties. We ain't got to that yet. Hello. They ain't even got to that. Oh, okay. I wonder what y'all gonna say then. I wonder what y'all. Oh, Pressure, please don't leave.
Cassie. There are other people. I think the prosecution.
I got you. Her name. I got you.
They
Hold
were
on.
involved in this in some way.
Hold on.
Stephen A. For them, Cassie is the star witness.
Okay. So let me go ahead and stop. Hold on. Okay, so this is what. Okay, so listen. This is the order. Let me go ahead and stop because y'all taking me out of order. Big Slump. I'm gonna give you this. And then I'm gonna give Pressure and Africa, motherland. I'm gonna get them. They coming next. I'm going out of order. But come on, let's go. Big Slump. This right here is who AunTeaFee believes really triggered it off.
Get access to evidence that may prove the Polar episode. That's where it gets interesting. Later, while being questioned by Florida authorities, Odie brought up something totally unexpected.
Did you hear?
That he'd been a
Did you hear him? Totally unexpected. He done shot up Trump Tower in Florida. They thought he was crazy than a Bessie bug. They thought this man here done lost his mind. What in the hell is he talking about? They talking to him about Trump and shooting at the police. He done got shot 4 or 5 times, and they thinking, hell, why is he bringing up Diddy? And then after this, I'ma take Pressure in Africa. We going someplace else. You tired of Cassie? Okay.
Slave for Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura. This video is courtesy of Real World Media. Take a look.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave.
So at the time, Odie's story seemed too far-fetched to believe, but not anymore. And now, in an exclusive interview, Odie opens up to News Nation senior producer Allison Weiner about his claims, beginning with why he's agreed to talk now. Listen to this.
What did he say?
On the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave. Masturbate, tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers.
And guess what he started doing, y'all? he started recording Diddy in Diddy's sex off because he was on the phone talking business, big business, and he recorded him. So while he in here being interrogated about having a shootout with the police at Trump Tower, he started talking about getting his freak on with Sean and Cassie and Diddy being on the phone.
Lots about business, because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave.
So at the time, Odie's story seemed too far-fetched to believe, but not anymore. And now, in an exclusive interview, Odie opens up to News Nation senior producer ARS0N about his claims, beginning with why he's agreed to talk now. Listen to this.
I felt bad because I got along well with her, and I think she's a decent person. And unfortunately, I had
TVD ain't got himself out of trouble.
That she was in, but I wasn't sure. And now I understand what was going on in her life and what was happening. And him beating her up in the hotel shows me the type of individual he is, and confirms that everything that happened to me was true and correct and in line with his personality.
So speaking to us from a Miami jail now, here is how Odie says it all began for him.
You know you like that baby all.
A model cheerleader, you could say. And they called me for a show they called me the agency.
Hi, Alexis.
To do a show. And then I went and did a show. And things led to him offering me more money to perform sexual acts. And that's it. That's how I basically got started. I get dressed like a police officer, I do a show, I do a strip down, and then, they offer me some more money. They offer me some more money to do some extra stuff.
So Odie did get specific about the extra stuff that he says Diddy wanted from him, and these specifics were consistent with what he told law enforcement during the 2014 interrogation. Here is how he describes the atmosphere and how frequently it happened.
Candles, sensual atmosphere, lights off. He would sit in a corner in a sofa, watch and masturbate. And he'd say, he'd tell her, give her instructions what to do to me. Perform oral sex, rub baby oil. Then he'd tell me rub baby oil, perform oral sex, and then have sex.
How many times did you have sex with Cassie?
Probably like 15 sessions.
And what did you get paid? How much?
It would be like 800 each time.
Okay, Big Slump, 2014. 2014 is when this happened. Okay? They thought it was crazy. They thought it was far-fetched, right? He dropped all this in 2014.
Lights off. He would sit in a corner in a sofa, watch and masturbate. And he'd say, he'd tell her, give her instructions what to do to me. Perform oral sex, rub baby oil. Then he'd tell me rub baby oil, perform oral sex, and then have sex.
How many times did you have sex with Cassie?
Probably like 15 sessions.
And what did you get paid? How much?
It would be like 800 each time. Each act. But sometimes they'll call me twice. I'll leave, and then 3 hours later, they'll call me, come back.
And so Odie claimed that the sessions were drug-fueled and that his concern for both Cassie and himself led him to get one of their sessions on video. Listen to what he says about that.
Or why did you decide to record or video?
Because after she passed out, I decided to record that. So in the event anything worse happened, like if she died, or anybody died, it will be on camera, it will be on video, what happened. So I wouldn't be responsible for any of that.
So you were beginning to worry about her doing drugs. I mean, like about her dying or him dying or somebody dying from the drugs, and that you would be held responsible. So you brought a video. You brought your phone?
No, I had a USB video memory stick done in a spy shop, and I put it in the water on the table, in the living room table of the hotel I was staying at. I filmed it, and had everything on Scribe, and it had her threatening me. But he was telling her what to say. In an argument, when I left, I knew they were paranoid. So I wanted to guarantee my safety. So I texted him and said, "Hey, if anything happens to me, I got evidence I'm being with you." At the settlement table, there was a lot of irregularities. Okay, It was my first settlement. So they brought me in, and Diddy had a T-shirt with 2 men in ski masks pointing, making gun signs. Okay, and it was black and white, and it had a red frame. Okay, but that's the way he operates. He communicates, threatening you, like saying, "I'm gonna have you killed."
Okay, so here goes somebody other than Cassie saying that he threatened people. And this was before Cassie, right? Yeah. So here he go. Here he goes saying that Diddy threatened by saying, I'ma have you killed. Okay, so Big Slump, do you understand why I feel like he is the one who set it off?
Well, that's the way he operates. He communicates, threatening you, like saying, "I'm gonna have you killed."
So Odie says to prevent the recording from going public, that's what he was just talking about, Diddy had him sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, in exchange for $5 million in hush money. This was in 2014. The Daily Mail ran a screenshot of what appears to be a signature page.
Now, y'all ain't said nothing about him being paid off. So y'all men don't have nothing to say about a man being paid off. A male prostitute being paid off. But Cassie, she a thought. She wanted it. It wasn't forced. But here is a male prostitute, a male hooker, male escort, a male however, got paid $5 million by the dealer, and don't nobody have nothing to say about that. Oh, okay.
Signed by Sean Combs and Odie. We have not been able to obtain the document or verify its contents or authenticity, nor have we been able to verify the existence of the video that you heard him talking about. Now, according to Daily Mail's report, the timing coincided with a spending spree by Odie of Florida real estate, and it also coincided with Odie's divorce. His ex-wife tells the Daily Mail that she found out about his windfall only after their split.
Basically,
you see what I'm saying, Roxanne? Roxanne. You see what I'm saying? Roxanne ain't now one of them said nothing. Her Cassie was trying to please this man, trying to, she thought she was in a relationship. He groomed her. But here you got a whole male hooker. Got $5 million. And ain't not one man said a thing. But that's okay. They asked for it. They asked for AunTeaFee to go and pull it up. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right in their face. So y'all gonna make me think y'all kind of like that thing, because y'all have a whole bunch to say about the females, but not a dang thing to say about a man. And he got $5 million. And he recorded him. And he snitched. Okay. Okay.
Florida real estate, and it also coincided with Odie's divorce. His ex-wife tells the Daily Mail that she found out about his windfall only after their split.
I'm talking to you.
Basically, the day the incidents happened at Trump National Garage, I had to take medication, and I had been diagnosed bipolar, but I wasn't sure I was bipolar, and I had an episode, and basically I've been taking medication every day. I've been stable. I had no issues in jail. I've done excellent behavior in jail, I'm ready to come out to society and be a productive member of society.
And he gonna be a witness for the defense.
Odie remains locked up in a Florida jail, still awaiting trial on charges of attempted murder, armed burglary, aggravated assault, and armed grand theft. Regarding the sex slave claims, we've reached out to Sean Diddy Combs' team for comment and have yet to hear back. And thank you to Allison Weiner for that interview. We'll continue to investigate all of that. Thank you for watching.
Hold on. So now I'm gonna have to go. I'm out. These men are something else. They want me to change. See, I feel like I had to go a different route today, cause the men in the chat, cater to the men. They act like they can't get it. They don't understand. So, okay, how did I do, Big Slump? I took care of you. Now let me take care of Africa. Pressure in Africa. Hold on. Which one I want to start with? Dang it. Yeah, I'm finna shut y'all asses up today. Which one I want to start with? Which one? I don't know what this is. I haven't watched it.
One thing is there's got to be a solution, because this has been going on in the industry for a whole.
Now, okay, so hold on, y'all. Let me.
At the same time.
Okay, hold on.
Nobody wants this to be.
I haven't watched this one. I just saw it before I go to the one I plan on going to. Let's just see what he's saying. Hold on.
True. It shouldn't have to be true.
Suge Knight, the founder of Death Row Records and one-time enemy of Sean Diddy Combs, talks about Combs' arrest by the feds in an interview with News Nation. I look at what the one-time record company owner said about Combs from behind prison walls. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy.
Hey,
Suge Knight doesn't hold back. He might be in prison for killing a man, running him down with a car in Compton, but that doesn't mean he's not sharing what's on his mind especially when it comes to Sean Combs. Combs, of course, is in a federal prison right now, being held without bond following his arrest on sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy charges. Combs has pleaded not guilty to those charges, which appear at this point to involve one victim, Cassie Ventura, Combs' longtime ex-girlfriend, who sued him last November. Combs settled that lawsuit the next day. Then came a flurry of other lawsuits filed by other accusers, including women and even a man, record producer Rodney Little Rod Jones. The accusers claimed they were drugged and sexually assaulted by...
So Lil Rod, he woke up tender butt. Was he forced? I mean, yeah. I mean, what about the men? So it's did he want it too?
Combs has denied ever sexually assaulting anyone, but a video aired by CNN in May showed that Combs beat Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway back in 2016. This happened in Los Angeles. Combs apologized a couple of days later on Instagram. So what does Suge Knight have to say about this? And why is anyone interested in what he has to say? Well, Knight and Combs go way back, and it wasn't always pretty. In the mid-90s, there was the so-called East Coast-West Coast feud where Combs had rapper Biggie Smalls at Bad Boy Records and Knight had signed Tupac Shakur at his Death Row Records. Shakur was murdered in Vegas in 1996 and Biggie Smalls was shot to death in LA the following spring. But that was a long time ago, almost 30 years ago now, and we're talking about what's going on today and the allegations being made against Sean Combs. Suge Knight is currently doing time in a California prison for running over a man and killing him. He'll be eligible for parole in 2034. Knight might be behind bars, but that doesn't mean he's not doing things or that he's staying quiet. He actually has a lot to say.
We have to really work hard back today.
Suge Knight actually hosts a podcast entitled Collect Call with Suge Knight, where he calls from prison and talks about a lot of things. And this week, he called Chris Cuomo on News Nation, and he had a lot to say about Sean Combs and what's going on with his case and the allegations of sex trafficking being made against him. One thing he talked about is whether or not he believes Sean Combs is safe being in jail. Sean Combs didn't want to be in jail. He wanted to post bail, but the judge denied that request. He's in the MDC, and that's a federal prison with a really awful reputation. Knight was asked whether he thinks Combs is safe behind bars.
I don't ever want to say he's in danger, and neither should he say that. Because once he gets to the point where they feel he's going to be suicidal to himself, harmful to himself, once they put him on suicide watch, you have the rights to nothing. No socks, no drawers, no T-shirt, no blanket, no sheets. You asshole naked in a cell as a crazy man.
How you know?
So he definitely don't want to do that.
Oh.
And the other advice I would tell him, maybe he should get on the Jewish diet. Because the kosher meals is way better than the food somebody else is making for you. At least they're going to come hot. They're going to come sealed, and you got to be the one to open them. That's very important.
What about people trying to hurt him?
Go to jail. I mean, one of the things is this. I don't care who you are. Prison and jail is a negative environment. If somebody can do something to them and get a name for themselves, they're going to actually do it. Or if they can do whatever they feel they got to do to prove themselves.
Hold on,
but we
person.
also got to learn. We got to learn from our mistakes. Everything don't have to be a mistake. You got to better yourself. But we all know what we sign up for in life.
Suge Knight is obviously in prison, and we know a lot about him because he's a celebrity, of course. He grew up in Compton. He played football at UNLV, and then he came back to Compton and founded Death Row Records. But do you want to know more about him, maybe about his criminal and traffic records? I went to Truthfinder to see what I could find. Suge's first name is really Marion. I put in Marion Knight, and his criminal and traffic records come up. It shows Suge Knight was charged in 1994 with felony second-degree robbery and a misdemeanor in 2010. Now he's serving time for killing a man by hitting him with his car. Even if you're not in true crime, Truthfinder can show you things from a person's past and registered sex offenders near you. Also, you can use it to see what's online about yourself. You can get 50% off right now of confidential background reports. Just log on to truthfinder.com/LCCrimeFix and start accessing information about almost anyone.
Well, I'm not calling you or nobody else to get nobody to believe anything regarding him. Like I said, and I always say, me personally, I don't jump up and down and cheer for no black man going to prison or any other man, any other human being going to prison. If people think prison is always the answer, I'm not saying a lot of people don't deserve to do their time and see what's going on. But at the same time, that's not no cheerful thing, because when you look at it, that man have kids. Mm-hmm. And whatever affects him definitely affects his kids. Mm-hmm. Now, I know there's a lot of victims involved in it, and whatever affects them affects their kids. So it's not a good thing to be talking about any about the next person. But it's not a gray area with me.
Now, I think anybody can empathize with children being impacted by their parents' situation and trauma. As the interview went on, talk turned to the freak-offs. Those are, of course, the alleged parties that were described in Cassie Ventura's civil lawsuits and that the U.S. attorney described when announcing the indictment.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways.
Did he say women or a woman? Did he say women or a woman?
About the next person. But it's not a gray area with me.
Now, I think anybody can empathize with children being impacted by their parents' situation and trauma. As the interview went on, talk turned to the freak-offs. Those are, of course, the alleged parties that were described in Cassie Ventura's civil lawsuits and that the U.S. attorney described when announcing the indictment.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways.
Women. So,
Combs used
they ready for me to
threats of force,
right after
coercion
this,
to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers.
Victims.
Some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines.
Okay.
Combs allegedly planned.
So listen, if we even just go back here, that means right there it's more. It's not just Cassie. Hello? He said victims, women.
That were described in Cassie Ventura's civil lawsuits and that the U.S. attorney described when announcing the indictment.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
Recorded without permission.
Involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics,
such as ketamine. So the ones that were caught. So are y'all saying it's okay to record these freak-offs? Not just the one with Cassie. The other people that he holding these videos over their head. Are y'all saying that it's okay to record people sexual after they done been drugged without their permission? Hello, Africa. Yeah, where you at? Are you saying that he is innocent even though he recorded people in uncompromising sexual positions and situations without their permission? Hello, big pressure, Africa. Yeah. Where you at? Let's listen with our good ear. So y'all think AunTeaFee just be tripping.
Some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
Obedient and
As alleged,
compliant.
when Combs didn't get his way,
So is that a form of force to keep them obedient? Oh, he is a master for real, huh? So to keep them obedient and compliant. So that means that they cannot say no. So is that force or is that consent? To keep them obedient and compliant. Is that force or is that consent? I just want to know where your integrity is. Oh, they got it. Let's go.
he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical,
Because
emotional,
remember,
and verbal.
Pressure, this was off of the evidence that they had to bring the charges. They just haven't presented it yet. Oh, they have it. They got it in the raid. They got it.
Transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance.
Days-long sex parties with sex workers where participants sometimes needed IVs to recover. It sounds awful. Suge Knight talked about where he thinks Sean Combs came up with this type of thing.
And at the same time, Puffy didn't react or see where he got or doing those things or those allegations by himself. He was taught from people before him, and he did it to the younger people after him. And we can talk all day and say what's true, what's not true. But the truth part about it is videos, conversation, and people can see what they've done.
And so, okay, so that guy last night, Hurricane Chris, he got turned out. We saw that last night. His whole body language changed when he talked about Clive Davis and the millionaires and billionaires. And he was 15, 16 years old. Last night, we saw, because I didn't know who he was. And somebody told me that that was Hurricane Chris. And he said that Diddy got that from Clive Davis. Let's go.
Be in a crowd and say, what do people think? That's irrelevant.
So Suge Knight basically claims that Sean Combs learned this behavior from other higher-ups in the record industry based on how he was treated when he was younger.
Is that what you're suggesting
Andre, for real?
about Sean Combs, that he was sexually abused and he now sexually abuses?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think he repeat what was done to him. And like I said, if you look at Russell Simmons, you know the truth.
Oh.
Andre Rail, you know the truth.
There we go.
Clyde Davis, you know the truth.
There we go.
Jimmy Iovine, you know the truth.
Oh, Lord.
It was at a point.
Okay, now he added some names I didn't add. Now I knew Kimora with Russell, you know. But there we go. Let's back that thing up. Y'all listening with y'all good ear? He ain't lying, y'all. He really ain't.
He was treated when he was younger.
Is that what you're suggesting about Sean Combs, that he was sexually abused and he now sexually abuses?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think he repeat what was done to him. And like I said, if you look at Russell Simmons, you know the truth. Andre Rail, you know the truth. Clyde Davis, you know the truth. Jimmy Iovine, you know the truth. It was at a point where it's like a whole sex trade, because you take Nicole from the Pussycat Dolls, she to push the lines of people to participate. She was messing with Jimmy Iovine, when Jimmy Iovine was married to one of the most incredible women in the world named Vicky, and she to go around and sing that song and change the lyrics to make it put Vicky down. So there's not certain things that all of a sudden you got this. The industry is a quick business. It's been like that for a long time. And the casting couch is real, but it's for women and men. But far from all that, I think the most important thing is I feel like they should let Puffy.
Oh, I've always said that. I've always said it came.
Expose a lot of people.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe you wasn't here. I believe that this had been done to him. I believe. I don't necessarily believe it started there. I believe it could have been. Hell, is his teeth missing over here? Them teeth gone. He went to a Catholic school, but I knew that my take was Andre Farrell and Clive Davis. And even with making of the band, his mindset was when he came in, he was quick on his feet. He was energetic. He said that he would do whatever he needed to do in order to make it. And I believe they ran through him like that. And so in his mind, with making of the band, they groomed it. Yes, he said he had to do it. So if he had to do, these strange things, then everybody had to do it. That was kind of his take. Yeah.
I'm sure he's gonna move forward with it. But I don't think it should be a situation like the Epstein. Incredible women in the world named Vicky, and she to go around and sing that song and change the lyrics to make it put Vicky down. So there's not certain things that all of a sudden you got this. The industry is a quick business. It's been like that for a long time. And the casting couch is real, but it's for women and men. But far from all that, I think the most important thing is I feel like they should let Puffy tell his truth. I'm quite sure he's going to expose a lot of people.
Absolutely.
He's going to move forward with it. But I don't think it should be a situation like the Epstein thing where they found him hanging from the ceiling and dead before the truth come out. So, first of all, you got to start with at the top. You starting with the top. Clyde Davis, Russell Simmons, Andre Rail, Jimmy Iovine. Even if you take Jimmy Iovine, he had an allegation from him, same thing, he went away. You take Jimmy Iovine. They told me at Universal, the Interscope, they said, you know what? We can't deal with artists that gets in trouble. And your artist gets in trouble, they talk crazy.
So that's a really bold claim being made against other record executives, some really big names. Clive Davis vehemently denied the allegation in a statement to Cuomo, saying,
Pressure, you killing
"This
me.
is a completely fabricated thread being trafficked by an incarcerated felon. Mr. Knight's assertions about Clive Davis are 100% false, as nothing of the sort ever happened." But what is interesting is Suge Knight is not the first person to
Who
suggest
said that?
Sean Combs learned this behavior. Listen to what Combs' former bodyguard, Gene Deal, told the Art of Dialogue podcast recently.
When they get down to all the facts and all what happened, he may belong in jail, bruh. And that's not my doing.
Yeah,
That's
he gonna have to give
Cassie
up
doing. That's his
Jay-Z.
doing and his learned behavior from the people that mentored him. You gotta realize, man, he learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons.
Oh.
He learned from Clyde Davis.
Oh, I didn't know.
You understand?
So this
when
is
those people are telling you that they were heavy into the drugs. They was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage. That's gonna make him think that he could get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then. You understand? The things that he was saying, you know, the touchy-feely between two men and all that stuff like that, man. All that, he learned that from them dudes.
So those are two people who knew Sean Combs, saying that Sean Combs learned this behavior which Sean Combs' attorney at this point has called consensual. Knight then offered his thoughts on the
Swingers.
freak-offs.
Yeah, they done came up with a cute way.
Number one, luckily, I wasn't the first short.
Y'all wait till they start talking about him taking men booty. I'ma see if y'all say the same
They
thing.
have a thing in the industry.
I'm gonna want y'all to stay true to how you feel when they start talking about them taking men's butts.
Justin Bieber. I don't like mentioning all these people that everybody knows what time it is. So at the same time, they used to have a joke. They never played this joke with me. And they used to walk in the Interscope office. They'd go back there and they'd be like, hey, we passed the test. I said, we haven't did the test. One dude said, well, don't say that in front of Mr. Knight because he's going to take it offensive and hurt somebody. I said, well, whatever it is, I probably will take it offensive.
Making of the band.
You know, that was me in those days. But they used to have these guys, they used to call it the boiled egg test. They used to take a boiled egg, a raw boiled egg. They had those guys put their pants down and bend over and they stick it up. The eggs break, they say they're not ready yet. They ain't put enough work in. This is Hollywood. So everybody want to go act like they don't know what's going on.
Hold on a second.
But
Suge.
if you just look. That's all
Suge,
you got to do.
I have never heard of anything like that. So if I haven't heard about it, just assume a lot of people haven't heard that before. But you think it's on video?
Let's stop for a second.
Go ahead, Suge.
Yeah, listen.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
No.
Oh, my
You only have a long
God.
time to think about it. But if you haven't been in those butt naked parties, even some of the preachers been in those parties, and they wasn't on their knees praying for God. See, they was praying for somebody to have come real quick or something. But I wasn't there, but there's proof of it. But at the same time, everybody want to look around and act like something going on that wasn't right. It's the facts of life in the industry.
So that was kind of graphic, but this is what Suge Knight is saying. And at one point, he ran in these circles. Knight also talked about Sean
You thought
Combs,
that
who he
lady
calls
was
Puffy,
telling the-
because
okay.
that's how he knew him in the 90s as
Jay-Z
Puffy,
have nothing to do
being
with
violent
this.
with Cassie
See,
Ventura
you thought
and a
that
woman
lady
he
was
called
telling-
Capricorn.
I still do think.
Jimmy, security,
Yeah.
and Puffy pulled up on
They
Capricorn.
say them cases
So
ain't
telling her that
ain't
she gotta
dropped.
settle with him. She gotta take this money. She gotta do this deal.
Yeah.
And whooping her ass for doing all that they took her to. And guess what?
They staging them. They staging it. Oppression. That stuff ain't gone nowhere.
Came from Interscope or Universal. They paid her to do it like she was getting a paycheck for working there. And then
They ain't
made
gone
the girl,
nowhere.
I
They
think
just
she had
put
to
on
pay taxes on
pause.
it. So that's even more crazier. So when you look at all these things and everybody want to say Puffy, 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 don't get me wrong. Yeah, Puffy stepped in this shit, and even if he wiped the shit off his shoe, it still stinks. But he's not the only one.
He not the only
They
one.
got all the tapes.
So there you have Suge Knight.
Did he say
saying
they
that
got all
Sean
the tapes?
Combs is not the only one. He's making these bold claims about the music industry. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty, as I've told you. Here's his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo.
His resolve is the same. He believes he's
He
innocent.
paying off people behind
I
the
believe
scenes.
He's innocent, and we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer. The fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible. I'm going to try and minimize the amount of time he spends in very, very difficult and I believe inhumane housing conditions.
He thought he was going to get him out
of the Metropolitan Detention Facility.
See, what is happening, Pressure and whoever else, is sometimes we think stuff is gone away, and because the attorneys said that there's still more cases coming in different states. But what is happening is we would think something has gone away, right? And some of the people have been paid off. And once they pay them off, they can say whatever they want to say because they made them sign that disclosure. Okay? But no, I don't. I still believe that there is truth to it. I just think that it's on pause. I don't even think that that girl has been paid off. I just think that it's on pause until this is over. To see what's going to happen here. And then they going to hit them with more cases. How many trials did R. Kelly have? He didn't just have one, did he? Now, let's go.
To move his case as quickly as possible.
And Mark Agnifilo told a TMZ documentary that Combs plans to testify at his trial whenever it's scheduled. So this trial will certainly be a he said, she said, and likely what the tape shows type of event.
So
and
they
that's
got
it
the
for this
tape.
episode
Okay,
of
so
Crime
let's go.
Fix. I'm
Let's
Angela
go.
Levy. Thanks
Bye, Angela Levy. Y'all go get you something to drink. Go get you some tea. It's finna get hot in here. This is for Pressure. But he gon' come back with something, y'all. You can best believe Pressure is gonna come back with a comeback. Cause he one of them ones. Oh, baby, he ain't gonna say, for you know what you right. Only time he said, okay, I had to hit his ass with his integrity. Cause Pressure, you know, I like him. You know, we don't always agree, but I do like and respect him. So I had to, cause I was taking this, I'm like, Pressure, really? Are you, what? Pressure, I thought you had more integrity than that. And when I said that, he said, okay. Oh, he stopped trolling me. I had to hit him with integrity. Cause I was thinking, what? Wait, what? Yeah, but I'm finna see how he moved. So I'm finna check his integrity when he hear this. Cause baby, come on girl, where you at? Cause baby, next week come Tuesday, I should have took off. God damn. Next week gonna be funny to me.
Hey everyone.
It's finna be funny to me. All y'all wanna blame the females. And none of them, y'all still ain't said nothing about the male hoe who was selling coochie, recording, and done got paid off.
Still underway, and with it expected to last
Ain't
8
said
weeks, each week feels like peeling back another layer of a very messy onion. We showcased the star witness Cassie Ventura testifying about how her relationship with the once revered mogul.
Let's listen what I good girl.
She thought was love to something dark and toxic. She described feeling pressure to please her then boyfriend through what we all know now as freak-offs, which is drug-fueled, hours-long, sometimes even days-long encounters involving other men, handpicked from sites like Craigslist, Backpage, Hunkarama, Cowboys for Angels, just to name a few. Now this week, we're expected to hear from Capricorn Clark, once an assistant to Sean Combs, and arguably one of the closest...
Who? Say her name. It's Capricorn Clark. Very close to Diddy back in the day, right? Was his assistant. She done seen it all. She was also brought up by Cassie as well as who? Kid Cudi. She was the one who called Kid Cudi to say, this some crazy shit I done ever been in my life. Oh, hold on, baby. Hold on.
people to him during this
She
era.
gonna be on the
Now,
witness
if
stand.
anyone knows the full story, good and bad, it's her. And while the courtroom is still wondering where the hell Christina Corum, aka KK, has gone.
Where KK?
Christina!
Is Christina gonna be a cooperating witness, or is she going to be a co-conspirator? Cause she that other madam, she the madam for Epstein, ain't she? That's what she like, huh? When that guy was telling her that Diddy was putting his hand on his pallywhacker, she said, well, Sean will be Sean. Is that all you got? Are you HR? He grabbing on my private part. He stroking my pickle. Well, Sean will be Sean. People have to remember, y'all, this is his kingdom. He's the king. We work for him. We are here to please the king. So if he want to stroke that thing, is that force or is that consent? So when they accepted the job, are you telling me, Pressure, that accepting the job mean that he has consent to do whatever the fuck he want cause he the king? Is that what y'all telling me? All you Diddy lovers? Huh? So because somebody accept the job, that gives him permission to do whatever he wants. So that is, when they accepted the job, that means that they consent to whatever he wants to do. And you have to do it. Is that force? Coercion? Okay, let's go. Let's listen.
It's her. And while the courtroom is still wondering where the hell Christina Corum, aka KK, has gone.
KK. Christina. She's not here.
Gone.
She's gone.
Capricorn is about to bring some serious receipts. She's expected to testify not only about kidnapping, but also about her own alleged abuse at the hands of Sean Combs. Reports say she abruptly left Combs' company after being paid a massive check from Interscope to walk away due to Diddy putting his...
So Interscope had to pay it? Why did Interscope have to pay it? Huh? Why did Interscope have to pay his debt? Now, see, when I saw this, I said, why they got Jane Kennedy picture up here? She look like Jane Kennedy, huh? Oh, that the insurance. Christina!
Christina's gone. Capricorn is about to bring some serious receipts. She's expected to testify not only about kidnapping, but also about her own alleged abuse
and
at the
arson
hands of Sean Combs. Reports say she abruptly left Combs' company after being...
Do y'all think it's her finger that the Fed said, or the prosecution said that there was female DNA on the cocktail? Could it be hers? Since she was forced? Oh, okay.
paid a massive check from Interscope to walk away.
Massive.
Due to Diddy putting his hands on her. We're going to break down this story and so much more, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this case and so much more. Now let's get back into it. So
see, the funny thing about this is y'all made it seem like it was just Cassie. Cassie was screwing him. Cassie was, so y'all made it seem like it was just Cassie. Oh, okay.
Clark. Capricorn Clark's name recently resurfaced.
Oh, one more thing. How many people that already got paid that we ain't know nothing about now? Huh? How many people done already been paid that we knew nothing about? Oh, by pressure. See, y'all see, this is why I have to check his integrity. Now you don't believe nobody, anyone that worked for Diddy. I be God. What else are your disclaimers, Pressure? Go on, put them out now. Cause when I hit you with something else, I don't want you, cause see, that's called moving the goalpost. You have a narcissistic mindset too. You can never be wrong. And just when you know you finna get got, you come up with something. I need for you to put all your disclaimers out now. So when I pop that ass, when I pop that ass, bring that ass here. I don't want to hear nothing. So what's your next disclaimer? Yeah, I need your disclaimers up front. I see how you moving. You ain't never wrong. That's an integrity thing. But okay.
Kid Cudi brought her up during
you giving immunity to witness who please.
Now, according to Kid Cudi's testimony, Diddy was enraged after finding out that
but see, the funny thing about this is Gene Deal been saying this. He ain't took nothing. He been saying this for a while before this even came out. So, and people thought he was just hating. He was just hating. How in the world is all of what this man been saying was true before it even happened? Yeah, okay. Because again, I don't think it was Gene Deal who brought this. I think it was the Triple X, the slave. Because that man asked for the CIA, FBI, Secret Service. He started asking for he started asking for the higher ups in the government. He ain't want no marshal. He said, I want the CIA. Yeah. I think he put them, cause baby, let me tell you something. Ain't nobody said nothing. He said he recorded Diddy talking business, illegal drug activity. And he is going to be, he one of them witnesses. Because remember, Cassie has already brought up his name. She said he scared her. He kind of feared. And she said, she told Diddy that she think he recorded it. Remember, he recorded him doing Cassie, and somebody called and said, I'm seeing you having, yeah. He was a plant. Absolutely.
Kid Cudi were dealing, and so he ended up taking an associate to Kid Cudi's home to break in, open his Christmas gifts, and frighten his dog.
So the recorder,
Kid Cudi, Capricorn Clark,
got recorded.
His assistant, was also there for the ride, but she was forced to go with them. Now, she called Kid Cudi from inside of the car, letting him know that she was
maybe I talked over it. Let's go back.
Out a little more. Assistant was also there for the ride, but she was forced to go with them. Now, she called Kid Cudi from inside of the car, letting him know that she was pretty much kidnapped. So let's find out a little more about Capricorn Clark. Now, Clark isn't just some random name being thrown around. She was actually a well-known figure in Diddy's camp for years. Capricorn worked closely with him in the early 2000s and held a high-ranking role at Combs Enterprise. Now, she was the vice president of brand strategy and marketing and a key part of launching Revolt TV, which was Diddy's music television network. Now, before working with Diddy, she's worked at firms like Def Jam, Magic Johnson Enterprise, and BET Films. Now, she moved to New York City in 2000 from LA and later worked at Crossroad, which is a production company. Now, while at Crossroad, she was a television production manager and she handled projects for HBO, ABC, NBC, and more. Now, following her departure from Crossroad, Capricorn Clark was employed by Combs, and her duties included handling day-to-day functionality of Combs' businesses and personal life. She briefly left Bad Boy Records, Sean Combs' label, and departed permanently from her assistant job. After that, she worked as a strategic and product marketing consultant at Sony BMG, being assigned to Sierra and R. Kelly. Later, she returned to work with Diddy at the time of the relaunch of Sean John's women's line. Capricorn later served as Diddy's global brand director, managing the personal brand. At the same time, she also worked on productions of Diddy's Dirty Money, The Final Days, and I Want to Work for Diddy. Besides her professional relationship with Sean Combs, Clark also worked for Scott Kid Cudi. Now, we've heard Capricorn Clark's name mentioned in Dawn Richard's civil lawsuit, but lastly, we've heard her name being brought up in Diddy's federal trial when Kid Cudi brought her up recently. Now, when you start piecing together statements from Cassie's civil lawsuit, her trial testimony, and Kid Cudi's recent court appearance, you began to see a much clearer and more disturbing picture. Now, according to Cassie, she was in the middle of a freak-off when Sean Combs went through her phone and found out that she was planning to meet up with Kid Cudi later that day. He discovered an email she had sent to Cudi saying that she'd be bringing over her toiletry bag to his place, clearly suggesting that she planned on staying the night. That sent Combs into a rage. As detailed in her lawsuit, Combs grabbed a manual corkscrew, wedged it in between his fingers like a weapon, and lunged at her. Cassie says she ran away in fear and immediately...
Choosing internet shouldn't be confusing. It should be based on how you live.
Please hit the like button, like, share, subscribe.
Kid Cudi to let him know that Diddy had found out about their relationship, which confused Cudi because as far as he knew it, Cassie and Diddy were already done. However, he still ended up taking her to a hotel where she could feel safe. Now, later that day, Kid Cudi said that he got a call from Diddy's former assistant, Capricorn Clark, telling him that Combs was inside his Los Angeles home. Clark sounded very fearful and stated that she was forced in the car to ride with him. Mess Cudi, aka Kid Cudi, said he rushed to his house and called Diddy on the way. Diddy sounded calm and confirmed that he was there and said that he was waiting for him. Cudi arrived to his home and Diddy was no longer there. Security cameras had been moved. There was no forced entry. His dog had been terrorized and his Christmas gifts had been opened. Now, a few years ago, Suge Knight told a story about Capricorn Clark that we knew nothing about. Take a listen to this.
What Puffy done, what Puffy did, what Puffy do, it's not a surprise. Everybody know what it is.
Hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been accused of beating and sexually assaulting his ex-girlfriend and singer, Cassie.
I mean, you got to be able to do that type of to a woman and other women, but it's not new. It's not like it's new news.
Are y'all listening with y'all good ear? I just need to know. Y'all got y'all good ear on? Hey, Thomas. Y'all got y'all good ear? Oh, okay.
What you do, it's not a surprise. Everybody know what it is.
Hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been accused of beating and sexually assaulting his ex-girlfriend and singer, Cassie.
I mean, you got to be able to do that type of to a woman and other women, but it's not new. It's not like it's new news. Shit. Same time he beat the shit out of motherfucking what's the little girl named Cassie or whatever. He had an assistant by the name of Capricorn. He felt Capricorn.
Yeah, he might hit the like button. Now, y'all do know that this information, this is old. This is not new when Suge dropped this. We just didn't know what he was talking about. We didn't know. Oh, okay.
Same time he beat the shit out of motherfucking, what's the little girl named Cassie or whatever. He had an assistant by the name of Capricorn. He felt Capricorn. Cap was keeping this shit on the low about if she was messing with Cudi or not. Puffy beat the shit out that bitch. Not only did he beat the shit out of her, it was an Interscope person. He had an assistant by the name of Capricorn. He felt Capricorn. Cap was keeping this shit on the low about if she was messing with Cudi or not. Puffy beat the shit out that bitch. Not only did he beat the shit out of her, it was an Interscope person. The Interscope check that paid her to settle so he wouldn't go to jail.
A month after Cassie filed her lawsuit and not long after Suge made this statement, Capricorn Clark took to her ex account and she said black women end up being the sacrifice for the affery. Last 11 years of my life, I had to deal with everyone's nonsensical allegiance to the devil. I pray that ends. I don't think highly of any of you. Can't keep your head down. Pretend shit is cool no more. Do better. She continued by saying they will skin you and wear you, baby girl, then pretend they never wanted the skin. Kim was the only person who didn't switch up. The only one. Dark times.
Yo, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I was in a dark place for a few years, you know what I'm saying? And I have to give a special shout out, thank you. All that love. Cassie for holding me down in the dark times.
I'm personally...
So why was he giving her credit for holding them down in the dark times? So holding them down and not going, not telling on it when he was beating her, you know, doing all that crazy, stupid stuff with the... Huh? Yeah. He was giving a shout out. Thank you for holding me down when he was making deals with the devil.
The only person who didn't switch up. The only one. Dark times.
Yo, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I was in a dark place for a few years, you know what I'm saying? And I have to give a special shout out, thank you. All that love. Cassie for holding me down in the dark times.
I'm personally very triggered. I pray it's over. I never deserved this. Stop. Hashtag protect black women IRL. Hashtag rest in peace. Now, the general justice lawyer on Twitter or X says that Clark is expected to provide firsthand accounts of Diddy's alleged abusive behavior. Reports suggest that she was physically assaulted by Diddy after he discovered she withheld information about Cassie's relationship with Kid Cudi. Can she destroy Diddy? Now, if Clark testifies to being assaulted and to witnessing or facilitating cover-ups of Diddy's alleged crimes, her testimony could significantly bolster the prosecution's case. Her insights into the inner workings of Diddy's operations may provide compelling evidence of a pattern of abuse and obstruction. Now, what's the legal significance? Clark's testimony could support charges of assault, witness intimidation, and racketeering by illustrating a pattern of abusive and obstructive behavior within Diddy's enterprise. Now, Cassie also wrote an email to her mother and CC'd Capricorn Clark on December 23rd, 2011, and in that she says the threats that have been made towards me by Sean Puppy Combs are that he is going to release 2 explicit S-tapes of me, one on Christmas Day, maybe before or right after, and another one sometime soon after that. He also said that he will be having someone hurt me and Scott Mescudi physically. He made a point that it would not be by his hands. He actually said he'd be out the country when it happened. So let's touch on a few parts of Don Richard's civil lawsuit against Diddy that mentions Capricorn Clark to see what she may know. Okay, so speaking of a party that Combs was having at his house that he invited Don to, she said that Combs repeatedly said things like, "This is a buffet. Enjoy yourselves. This is what..."
Okay, do I need to slow this down? Because this is going to get really interesting.
At his house that he invited Don to, she said that Combs repeatedly said things like, "This is a buffet. Enjoy yourselves. This is what we do. This is how we party." Miss Richard felt shocked and horrified at the sight of Mr. Combs and his guests violating incapacitated young women and implored Mr. Combs' personal assistant, Capricorn Clark, to allow her to leave. Miss Clark insisted that Miss Richard wait 15 minutes for Miss Clark to make it make sense. That is, to make Miss Richard's exit less conspicuous so that Mr. Combs would not notice that she had left. Knowing that she was not free to leave and had to wait for Miss Clark to help her orchestrate her departure, Miss Richard experienced feelings of panic and being trapped against her will. Okay, and she had left. Knowing that she was not free to leave and had to wait.
Knowing that she wasn't what?
Insisted that Miss Richard.
knowing that she was
Ms.
not what?
Richard felt shocked and horrified at the sight of Mr. Combs and his guests
I don't
violating
know.
incapacitated young women and implored Mr. Combs' personal assistant, Capricorn Clark.
What does the
to allow
hot
her
dog
to
day
leave.
have to do with
Ms. Clark
anything?
insisted that Miss Richard wait 15 minutes for Miss Clark to make it make sense.
Yes,
That is,
it's
to make
old.
Miss Richard's exit.
What are you? Yes, it's old. You didn't hear what? Yeah. We know Don Rashad didn't go to nothing recently. What are we talking about? Somebody talking about a hot dog and you talking about, is this? Oh, wait a minute. What? Okay, so now it's Kid Cudi fault. So are you, listen, Faison, are you trolling? Because now what y'all putting in here don't make sense to me. And now I'm thinking that y'all trolling. I'm finna get your ass up out of here. Because I'm reading your comments and what you saying don't make sense. It don't have nothing to do with what we listening to. And if you don't want to hear this, then go ahead and exit now. So I don't have to remove you. Because I will remove you. Are you listening with your good ear? Why would she be talking about something currently and she was just on the witness stand last week? No, your comment said, is this, oh, what do you mean? Not you, Terrion.
As conspicuous so that Mr. Combs would not notice that she had left, knowing that she was not free to leave and had to wait for Miss Clark to help her.
So she did not. So if she wasn't free to leave, then that means that she was there by force. Hold on, because she said that she was not free to leave. So what would happen if she left? So now they have to plot her exit because she was not free to leave.
Two parts of Don Richard's civil lawsuit against Diddy that mentions Capricorn Clark to see what she may know. Okay, so speaking of a party that Combs was having at his house that he invited Don to, she said that Combs repeatedly said things like, "This is a buffet, enjoy yourselves. This is what we do, this is how we party." Miss Richard felt shocked and horrified at the sight of Mr. Combs and his guests violating incapacitated young women and implored Mr. Combs' personal assistant, Capricorn Clark, to allow her to leave. Miss Clark insisted that Miss Richard wait 15 minutes for Miss Clark to make it make sense. That is, to make Miss Richard's exit less conspicuous so that Mr. Combs would not notice that she had left.
So she had to stay 15 minutes so that she could sneak her out. Because she wasn't comfortable. Don Richard, who was on the witness stand last week, who does have her own lawsuit against him, but she felt like she could not leave. And so she had to wait 15 more minutes. Shit. So here comes somebody else wanting to leave something that he had who could not just leave.
Knowing that she was not free to leave and had to wait for Miss Clark to help her.
Faison Sampson, you can have a conversation, but it needs to make sense to what we're talking about. And if you listening, you would know that it's, oh, I'm trying to understand. No, we can't troll. We don't troll over here. We serious. We grown folk. So if conversation is trolling to you, then no. Cause that's in my, I got that no trolling when you came in here. Know where you
Restraining her
at.
departure, Miss Rashard experienced feelings of panic and being trapped against her will. Okay, and in another situation, in the weeks and months leading up to the Bad Boy Interscope deal, Mr. Combs had frequent meetings with producer and then CEO of Interscope Records, Jimmy Iovine. On one such occasion, Combs hosted a dinner at a West Hollywood, California restaurant, which Miss Rashard and Miss Harper were required to attend. Among the guests at the dinner were celebrities like Neo and Usher, as well as Mr. Iovine. At the dinner, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura had an argument in front of the dinner.
So they go that Mr. Iovine name again. I'm gonna put. Hold on.
Had frequent meetings for Miss Clark to make it make sense. That is, to make Miss Rashard's exit less conspicuous so that Mr. Combs would not notice that she had left. Knowing that she was not free to leave and had to wait for Miss Clark to help her orchestrate her departure, Miss Rashard experienced feelings of panic and being trapped against her will. Okay, and in another situation, in the weeks and months leading up to the Bad Boy Interscope deal, Mr. Combs had frequent meetings with producer and then CEO of Interscope Records, Jimmy Iovine. On one such occasion, Combs hosted a dinner at a West Hollywood, California restaurant, which Miss Rashard and Miss Harper were required to attend. Among the guests at the dinner were celebrities like Neo and Usher, as well as Mr. Iovine. At the dinner, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura had an argument. In front of the dinner guests, Mr. Combs hissed at Miss Ventura in a screaming whisper and forcefully punched her in her stomach, causing her to double over in visible pain. Crying, Miss Clark escorted Miss Ventura out of the restaurant, and Mr. Combs remained and continued socializing with the dinner guests. At this point, Interscope Records clearly had actual knowledge that Combs was dangerous around females and that Combs was willing to brazenly batter a female in public. Now, this particular event happened in 2010 in Glasgow, Scotland. Dawn does not mention Capricorn Clark by name. However, she said that this happened to his female assistant. So listen to this. On their last night in Glasgow, Miss Rashard witnessed Mr. Combs and several other males G-banging Mr. Combs' female assistant at the hotel pool. Miss Rashard immediately left and went to her hotel room. On their flight back to the United States the next day, Miss Rashard asked Mr. Combs where his assistant was. Mr. Combs responded, "I don't give a fuck where that bitch is." Miss Rashard later learned that Mr. Combs had taken his assistant's passport with him to the United States, leaving the assistant stranded in the United Kingdom. We cannot confirm that this happened to Capricorn. However, she was his assistant around the dirty money time. Needless to say, Capricorn Clark seems to be shaping up to be a very strong witness for the prosecution, someone who can directly support Cassie's testimony with first-hand accounts of what point Interscope Records clearly had actual knowledge that Combs was dangerous around females. Combs hosted a dinner at a West Hollywood, California restaurant, which Miss Rashard and Miss Harper were required to attend. Among the guests at the dinner were celebrities like Neo and Usher, as well as Mr. Iovine. At the dinner, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura had an argument. In front of the dinner guests, Mr. Combs hissed at Miss Ventura in a screaming whisper and forcefully punched her in her stomach, causing her to double over in visible pain. Crying, Miss Clark escorted Miss Ventura out of the restaurant, and Mr. Combs remained and continued socializing with the dinner guests. At this point, Interscope Records clearly had actual knowledge that Combs was dangerous around females and that Combs was willing to brazenly batter a female in public. Now, this particular event happened in 2010 in Glasgow, Scotland. Dawn does not mention Capricorn Clark by name.
Didn't Suge say?
Happened to his female.
Didn't Suge say that the ones who taught him how to be the way he is and beat on women and abusive and all of that type of stuff? Wasn't Iovine guy? Wasn't he one of the ones? That's why he didn't care.
Assistant. So listen to this. On their last night in Glasgow, Miss Rashard witnessed Mr. Combs and several other
Please listen with your good ear with this.
G banging Mr. Combs' female assistant at the hotel pool. Miss Richard immediately left.
Y'all, what's G banging? What is G banging?
Don does not mention Capricorn Clark by name. However, she said that this happened to his female assistant. So listen to this. On their last night in Glasgow, Miss Richard witnessed Mr. Combs and several other males G banging Mr. Combs' female assistant at.
What is G banging? Pressure. Pressure. African motherland. Pressure. Big pressure in African motherland. Y'all still here? Did y'all leave? Y'all knew it. This was coming. Pressure. Pressure. What is it? What does that mean though? What is that? What is that? What is gangbanging? What does that mean? Cause when I could having fun. Pressure. African motherland. Ain't that kind of what oh, okay. Oh, okay. Hold on.
That this happened to his female assistant. So listen to this. On their last night in Glasgow, Miss Richard witnessed Mr. Combs and several other males G banging Mr. Combs' female assistant at the hotel pool. Miss Richard immediately left and went to her hotel room. On their flight back to the United States the next day, Miss Richard asked Mr. Combs where his assistant was. Mr. Combs responded, "I don't give a fuck where that bitch is." Miss Richard later learned that Mr. Combs had
was that gang banging by force? So they aped her. They pulled a train on her. They beat her and they gang banged her. This ain't Cassie. Yeah. And then when somebody asked about
Miss Richard immediately left and went to her hotel room. On their flight back to the United States the next day, Miss Richard asked Mr. Combs where his assistant was. Mr. Combs responded, "I don't give a fuck where that bitch is." Miss Richard later learned that Mr. Combs had taken his assistant's passport with him to the United States, leaving the assistant stranded in the United Kingdom. We cannot confirm that this happened to Capricorn. However, she was his assistant around the dirty money time. Needless to say, Capricorn Clark seems to be shaping.
So he beat her and they gang banged her. He took her passport, left her in the UK. So when Suge said not only did he beat up Cassie, but he beat up his assistant real bad. Capricorn.
United Kingdom. We cannot confirm that this happened to Capricorn. However, she was his assistant around the dirty money time. Needless to say, Capricorn Clark seems to be shaping up to be a very strong witness for the prosecution, someone who can directly support Cassie's testimony with first-hand accounts of what was going on inside Diddy's inner circle. But here's a big question. Will she be granted immunity for her own involvement? Because if she does take the stand and receives immunity, it paints a clear picture that Diddy might be the only one going down with this sinking ship. Court will resume on Tuesday.
So when they ask why it's a Rico and he the only one, because all the people that he done upped over, forced, threatened, kidnapped, are going to get on the stand and tell their involvement. So he didn't take advantage of just Cassie. Heck, he forced her. Now, I think it's shysty that Don be around some of this stuff and she just feels like she has to go along. I'm just going to leave, da-da-da-da-da. And so after this one, I'm going to have to go to expose her. Okay, let's go.
Day, giving jurors an extended holiday weekend with another round of witnesses for the
Yeah. Let's go to the next one. And then I'm going to call it a day. I'm 3 hours in. My Cash App ain't went off not one time. No, not all this tea. Y'all not enjoying this tea? Baby? What? Huh? Yeah, huh? All them people be feeding y'all that AunTeaFee giving you the tea. Hold on. I really am looking at, yes, she telling, but I said last week, Dawn knows more. T-Sippers, if y'all still here, I said Dawn know more. She know on the making of the band. She know more on Cassie. And she know more on them cats. Oh, I need to be doing that. Where I need to do that? Hold on. Oh, over here. I done moved the thing. Hold on. Yeah. She know more. Now, what she waiting on to tell it? I don't know. But she definitely know more. Not more. Mo. Oh. Before I go there, let me see this one. Hold on.
The leads calling Kid Cudi a boy that ain't never been in the streets, a rat. Thank you, young thug,
for exposing the fact that because of Fulton County's corruption, Brian Still got you off. And speaking of Brian Still, you know Judge ARS0N put Brian Still in his place. He let them know, don't you dare bring in that Fulton County antics into this Southern District of New York courtroom. Literally, the judge in the Diddy trial told Brian Still, baby, you don't run me and you best mind your manners. Brian Still couldn't do anything but say, okay, thank you, Your Honor, and sat down. And Judge ARS0N was like, let's get into this. First of all, let's talk about Young Thug, right? First of all, Young Thug, shut up. What is going on with these generation of men? You basically exposed yourself and you're letting us know how the Cassie thing happened. Y'all got ish to say about Diddy. You don't got itch to say about the way he treats women. You don't got itch to say about the way he treats men. That's cool. But somebody gets up on a federal stand and actually tries to clean up the community and get a predator off these streets that are affecting women and men of all races, and you calling him a rat? So let me just break a few things down before we get into the way Brian Still and Judge ARS0N, Diddy's judge, was like, don't bring that southern mess into this Northeast courtroom. First of all, let's just break it down. These people talking about don't snitch, don't snitch, don't snitch. You realize that back in the day, when people said don't snitch, and I'm talking about back in the day when you couldn't even trust the white police officers or sheriffs because of racism, you realize we cleaned our own communities, right? You realize that if somebody was doing something, we had our own enforcers that would come in and hand out justice that was fair, but also kept the community safe. I feel like these people talking about, you a snitch, you a snitch, you a snitch. It's like, you're a snitch. And people sound like, let me slow down.
Yeah, girl, come on.
Your job as a thug is to protect the community, right? It's to protect the community. That's what thugs and all this street guys, that's what they used to be back in the day when they had honor. I'm talking about back in the day when they was wearing zoot suits and hats.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you think that y'all do not have any responsibility to make our communities better, safer,
Girl,
give back, police the predators. And the fact that you think that if somebody's a predator, they should be able to run free. But if anybody does anything to correct it, which won't be you because y'all never do it because y'all don't snitch, then
I'm finna go there, Jeff.
that somebody is a snitch, trying to shame, humiliate, and mock Kid Cudi, but more importantly, you are trying to corrupt another generation that might see that post and be like, oh, so it's wrong to talk to the government? It's wrong to do this? You are trying to corrupt. Why? My guess, because you want to be able to do what you want on the street and everybody keep their mouth shut. It's a different type of abuse, but it's still abusive. But let me just break it down to these wannabe thugs. Snitching is when two people are involved in the exact same stuff. And the reason nobody likes snitches is because you was right next to me, letting that chopper sing. But we get caught. And in order to save your own butt, you tell on me. And who cares if you tell on me, but it's the fact that you told on me so that you wouldn't have to face the music. You literally were right there, partners in crime, until we got caught, and then you sold me out and acted like you were innocent. That's a snitch. The person must be a criminal. They must be involved in the same criminal activity. They must say, and the thing that makes a snitch so repulsive is because we're looking at them like, no. Both of y'all deserve to be punished. No. Put him up on the stand. It seems very unfair that someone that played an equal part will now snitch and then they don't get punished too. That's why we don't like snitches. That's what a snitch is. You cannot be a criminal or a predator or a monster and look at someone who made the pursuit of happiness. And hear me out, Kid Cudi ain't no punk at all. But I'm sick of people acting like, because people are sensitive, people are emotionally intelligent, people actually talk to the police, people show up and testify against monsters. I'm sick of y'all trying to turn that into, oh, you soft. What's a thug? What's a real man? Somebody like future 50-year-old talking about popping perks? What makes a real man? Somebody that had a girl, Mariah the Scientist, which, by the way, her new song is Chef's Kiss. She don't deserve her, but Mariah loved that man, so none of my business, right? Someone that literally got caught up because of the shit you were doing, had a good woman by your side, and literally was talking trash about, oh, she scared me, she loved me too much. You don't even know how to take the love of a woman that's down for your side. And these thugs,
I'm going there, Jeff. I got
these
it.
thugs are out here talking trash and trying to make it
I
seem
already
like
got
the
a
wrong
lineup.
person, the soft person, the weak person is the strongest one up there that don't gotta go around with their D swinging, don't gotta go with bravado, literally emotionally intelligent, supportive, tried to help Cassie, and now you get up on the stand and you do something that none y'all in the industry could do, and that's tell the truth about Diddy.
Come on.
And you got the nerve to call him a snitch. Ladies and gentlemen, right? I don't know what you into. We have to start uplifting the type of partner we want. If that's the type of man you want, right? If that's the type of man you have, then we need to start flooding Kid Cudi's comments and sending a thing to these thugs that have literally run rampant in music and trying to say that they are the culture when they are putting these negative things that don't do anything but put money in their pockets. Honestly, I stand with Kid Cudi. And Young Thug, I'm glad he deleted that. But the fact that he even posted it, he wanted to do a post and delete. Even though you need to realize you were literally one comment away from having your bail revoked. I know you did the big one with Brian Still, and Brian Still is a great attorney. But let's be real, Fulton County and that corruption is what got you free. And they are looking to get their lick back. You need to stop literally promoting illegal behavior. He got subpoenaed. You a snitch? Really? Anyway, let's also talk about Brian Still, because that part was a little bit, it was a little bit much, right? Judge ARS0N literally told Brian Still he can sit himself down right now after they demanded a mistrial over a statement that was never made. The judge looked at him and said, baby, you don't get to put me on notice. And Brian Still was like, I'm just saying. Again, don't bring that Fulton County corrupt
he tried
mess into this good old pinnacle of bastion of purity, Northeast Southern District of New York courtroom. Again, I was standing on this 10 toes down. Young Thug got off because Fulton County was dirtier and playing dirtier than he did. That's why you got off. Anyway, right? His lawyer, Brian Still, asked for a mistrial today after prosecutors asked Kid Cudi if he had safety concerns. Let me get this straight. You want a mistrial because a man that testified that his house was broken into, Christmas presents ripped open, and his dog was traumatized. Christmas presents ripped open, and his dog was traumatized. If he felt like he had safety concerns, after his car got caught on fire, they tripping. Brian Still told the judge that the answer is about to be that Mr. Combs has had other people killed. This is an outrageous question. But here's the thing, Brian, how do you know Diddy had other people killed, and how do you know what the answer was? I'm very, very, very interested to hear. Go on, counselor. Anyway, Brian Still said, may I? The court, yes. Your Honor, I'm going to move for a mistrial. The government knows the answer is about to be that Mr. Combs has had other people killed. This is an outrageous question. Judge, but he didn't say that, Mr. Still. Brian, but he will say that. The court.
Oh, so they trying real hard.
Brian, well, he's about to say it.
So they're trying to ask for a mistrial on something that has not been said.
No, you don't get to put me on notice. I said, literally, I was in the back like he ate that all the way up. He said, you don't get to put me on notice. There's no grounds for any kind of application along those lines because no question that you're talking about has been asked and the answer has not been given. Now, what is your objection to the question that was asked? Brian, why were you scared of Mr. Combs? And his answer is going to be because Mr. Combs is violent and he has had other people killed. The court. His understanding of the things that had happened and his understanding of that event is not a 404A issue, which was raised, correct? Because when you object, you have to say there's a federal rule of civil procedure, Rule 403, 401, 404, 403 is hearsay. That is the most common federal rule of civil procedure everybody knows. So when you say, Your Honor, I object, you have to say exactly on what grounds. Judge ARS0N also checked them and said, and why you objected, there's no grounds for that
they
objection.
trying to ask for a mistrial on something that
he goes on to say, Mr. Saul said, it's not going to be it's not like that. The judge. That was the objection that was raised. So what is the objection? Brian, he called his friend. This is what is in the 3500. I know the court read it. He calls his friends who told him that Diddy had other people killed. I believe that's going to be his answer why he was so scared. I'm preempting it because I know the court. If he says it, the judge interrupted him. Stop right there. That's the way you raise the issue? Okay. Brian. Well, yes, I just wanted to give you a preview. The court. Now, Mr. Still, what further questions do you have for Ms. Johnson? Ms. Johnson, that's Emily Johnson, the U.S. attorney. He said, now what further questions do you have, counselor? He literally cut Brian off and was like, anyway, U.S. attorney's back to you. She said, I don't have further questions on this, and I don't believe that's what he would say. I was specifically directing this to the end of the relationship and his concern at that time. The court. Well, to be fair, you asked the question. You got the answer. And Mr. Still, your point is, let's just move on, right? Mr. Still, please, the court. Okay, so now that I say it, let's move on. Y'all listen. There is so much going on. Young Thug should be ashamed of himself, but I'm sick of these people that the powers that be in the music industry have let them elevated to the fact of they now trying to tell us that somebody starting to stop an abuse against women is a snitch. Baby, let's bring back snitching. Snitching ain't easy, but it sure is fun.
Also,
Anyway, y'all.
this wasn't the one. Oh, no, this wasn't the one. Hold on. God, dog. I was wondering, was this the one? I'm like, what is this? Oh, no, this ain't the one, baby. But I do like I'm glad that we heard that they was trying to, get a mistrial on some bogus stuff. Oh, no, this is it. This is it right here. My bad.
You could have 1 million followers and still not be able to pay your bills. Over 1 million creators and brands are growing fast.
My bad.
2 years ago in December 2023, we made the connection between Diddy, what's up,
I'm
guys?
sorry, my bad, y'all.
Baby, if you have heard, Capricorn Clark has been announced by the prosecution to be testifying on Tuesday.
This
and
was
baby,
the one.
she is coming in hot, bringing her story. The funny thing is, there's now a lot of chatter online from, I think, people that are paid by Diddy to try to discredit her story as to who she is. And a lot of y'all are like, no, literally, what's the backstory? Is she Lauren London's sister? How does she know Cassie? How is she going to be the person that take Diddy down? Well, don't worry. Your girl got a little backstory. If you guys don't know, I pulled up a video.
I said Lauren London
years ago,
and Cassie
December
favorite.
2023, we made the connection between Diddy, Capricorn Clark, and said that she would be one of the reasons why Diddy goes down and the feds are looking into it. Now, look at God's glory. It's 2 years later, and Capricorn Clark is slated to testify Tuesday. But listen to this video. It has a lot of background information. It's going to tell you a lot of what Capricorn Clark is going to testify, or at least talk about, not even including the Kid Cudi stuff that she was actually there. But baby, listen, get into this video. There is one small disclaimer. In the video, I constantly referred to Capricorn Clark as Lauren London's sister. It came out later that Capricorn Clark and Lauren London are not in fact related. They were play sisters, but her, Cassie, Capricorn Clark, Cassie, and Lauren London were like this for the longest, so much so that people thought that Capricorn Clark, hold on, y'all. People thought that matter of fact, just get into this video. I'm pulling earrings off. But anyway, they were not real sisters. They were play sisters, but the rest of the information, get into it. And this is also the precursor for Kid Cudi's car being kaboom.
Okay, let's go.
Let me know what y'all think in the comments. This is a 2-year-old video, but the information is still relevant. Enjoy. All right, I'll see you on live tonight. Bye. Y'all come in and shut the door. Suge Knight has just exposed Diddy. And baby, this is some weird tea. We're getting into what really happened between Diddy and Cassie and why she got that 30 million. Why Wale is acting like he got amnesia about what happened with the balcony thing, being all cagey. How Capricorn, his old assistant, is the reason why Cassie probably even won, and why she was throwing shade on Cassie. Now, as an added plot twist, Capricorn Clark, who was basically Diddy's and in a way Cassie's assistant, was also the sister to Lauren London, who was Cassie's best friend. On top of that, he literally dropped thing on why in the settlement papers, well, not the settlement papers, he wouldn't know, but why in the lawsuit, she said just enough. But baby, he's letting us know what was unspoken. And get this, he even drops in on throws T-Pain into it and letting us know that baby, he would never pray for another black man to be arrested. But he thinks Diddy's going to be his soulmate. And on top of that, he's exposing why he thinks that Diddy and Snoop are an industry plant. Y'all sit down. Let's get into this. This is a lot to unpack, so there might be multiple videos.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the most we can in this, okay? Now, here's the thing. Remember how Diddy said... So anyway, let me just start from the top. So the whole time, Suge Knight, you got to watch the interview. I'll put a link later on, right? But the whole night, Suge Knight was saying, yo, Cassie, I see why he settled with her. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I see why he settled with her, because like he did this, he did that, and everybody knew. He's like, even I knew he was doing it. And I was like, all right, Suge, but we all know that you don't like puppies, so come on, get to the point, right? He's saying that Cassie put in just enough to scare the bejesus out of Puffy, but not enough to really have some leverage to still negotiate. How is that? Well, let's look at the one thing she said. When she was talking about, she did the white nail polish crew, and they were having the red light confessions, and there were videos every place, right? He said that Cassie put in just enough, but left out the part that Puffy was actually joining
No,
in.
I haven't. I'm not a big follower of Jaguar Wright.
Actually engaging in this. Now you might be like, okay, so what's the big deal? But obviously,
I know she said she was a
Daemonetric.
That whatever that is. But no, I don't follow her like that.
Truth, for whatever reason,
because people try to force her down my throat.
I'd be like, okay, fine, you got me. I'm not paying you $30 million. He doesn't want that truth out there, and it's one of the reasons he was like, oh, let's settle. But we all know that you don't like puppies, so come on, get to the point, right? He's saying that Cassie put in just enough to scare the bejesus out of Puffy, but not enough to really have some leverage to still negotiate. How is that? Well, let's look at the one thing she said. When she was talking about, she did the white nail polish crew, and they were having the red light confessions, and there were videos every place, right? He said that Cassie put in just enough, but left out the part that Puffy was actually joining in. Puffy wasn't just watching. Puffy was actually engaging in this. Now, you might be like, okay, so what's the big deal? But obviously, these rumors of Puffy being on the DL, if they are true, it literally was fueled by Puffy trying to hide this truth. For whatever reason, he does not want this truth out here. So to me and you, I'd be like, okay, fine, you got me. I'm not paying you $30 million. He doesn't want that truth out there. And that's one of the reasons he was like, oh, let's settle. Same thing when she told that story about him running out the house with a gat looking for Suge Knight. She said just enough because Puffy knows what happens with that, but not enough that, it would be full-scale investigation on a criminal front. Because, things like murking people and all the other stuff, there is no statute of limitations, baby. If we find out you did it when you are 73, you will be in jail on your 74th birthday. But let's talk about the real mess about how a lot of Cassie's claims, everybody was like, how could you even prove that? And I remember when one of this girl named Capricorn, who used to be Diddy's assistant, okay? When she found out that Cassie settled, she had posted something really, really interesting to Instagram. And the thing is, when I first read it, I was like, is she hating? Like, what's the big deal? She put, don't take the path of the wicked. Don't follow those who do evil. Stay away from the path. Don't even go near it. Turn around and go another way. Doors be unlocked. You got to be willing to walk away from the money. Full stop. 2011 was hell. Tragic kingdom. And when he wrote that, I was like, is that shade? But it don't seem like it. It seems like there's something more. Babes, Suge Knight said there is 100% something more. Because apparently, when Cassie was creeping around with Kid Cudi, remember how Kid Cudi said it's true that his car was blown up in his driveway, and Diddy had said he was going to blow the car up 10 days before, and nobody investigated, not the LAPD, not anything. And I'm like, okay, Puffy fed. I think Kanye's right. Well, around that same time that it happened, Cassie was having a relationship with Kid Cudi. How did Puffy find out? Because he had the devices in Cassie's phone so she could see who she was texting and the conversations. However, Capricorn, and that is the girl that posted that thing that used to be Puffy's assistant. She was Puffy's assistant, and she was also like Cassie's assistant too, but she was more Puffy's assistant. She had known something was going on between Kid Cudi and Cassie, but she turned to look at it the other way. She's like, it's not my business, but she knew something was going on. It's also the sister to Lauren London, who was Cassie's best friend. Remember that Cassie actually spoke about in her lawsuit that her association with Diddy and all that stuff actually cost her a lot of friendships, including a very close friendship? Could she be talking about Lauren London and what happened to her sister? All right, let's get into this because there's so much. Suge Knight is alleging, and can I just say, this whole video is my speculation. I'm telling you what I heard. Nothing's been proven in the court of law. This is all alleged. All right, we on the same page? All right, now get back in here for some alleged tea, right? Non-proven tea. Okay, so here we go. So Suge Knight is saying that Cassie, when Diddy found out...
Okay, so please don't put the word, you can't put that word, you have to put great minus the G. You gotta put a number. You can't put that word in my chat, in my comment. The ape word. You can't do that. You gotta misspell the word. M33KI. Yeah, I don't care nothing about that. If it comes up later, cool, but please don't put that word in the comment.
Brakes off of Cassie. Beat the brakes off of her. Like it was like even Suge Knight was like, oof, that's too much. And you know when Suge Knight tells you that's too much, you've gone too far. But get this. Capricorn, his assistant, he said in her lawsuit that her association with Diddy and all that stuff actually cost her a lot of friendships, including a very close friendship. Could she be talking about Lauren London and what happened to her sister? All right, let's get into this because there's so much. Suge Knight is alleging, and can I just say, this whole video is my speculation. I'm telling you what I heard. Nothing's been proven in the court of law. This is all alleged. All right, we on the same page? All right, now get back in here for some alleged tea, right? Non-proven tea. Okay, so here we go. So Suge Knight is saying that Cassie, when Diddy found out, he beat the brakes off of Cassie. Beat the brakes off of her. Like it was like even Suge Knight was like, oof, that's too much. And you know when Suge Knight tells you that's too much, you've gone too far. But get this. Capricorn, his assistant, he's saying that Puffy also beat her down to the white meat. Actually beat her worse than Cassie. It was so bad. It was so bad that she had to settle with the record label. Well, I'm sorry, she had to settle with Puffy. And they're saying the sister to Lauren London, who was Cassie's best friend. Remember that Cassie actually spoke about in her lawsuit that her association with Diddy and all that stuff actually cost her a lot
Them circles
of
run close, don't they?
including a very close friendship. Could she be talking about Lauren London and what happened to her sister? All right, let's get into this because there's so much. Suge Knight is alleging, and can I just say, this whole video is my speculation. I'm telling you what I heard. Nothing's been proven in the court of law. This is all alleged. All right, we on the same page? All right, now get back in here for some alleged tea, right? Non-proven tea. Okay, so here we go. So Suge Knight is saying that Cassie, when Diddy found out, he beat the brakes off of Cassie. Beat the brakes off of her. Like it was like even Suge Knight was like, oof, that's too much. And you know when Suge Knight tells you that's too much, you've gone too far. But get this. Capricorn, his assistant,
she gonna be on the stand next week.
Also beat her down.
They flying her in.
Actually beat her worse than Cassie. It was so bad. It was so bad that she had to settle with the record label. Well, I'm sorry, she had to settle with Puffy. And they're saying the record label paid her off. This is why Cassie also went into a lawsuit and put the record labels in it, saying not only did they know about it, but they were the ones that wrote the checks for the payoffs. Do you know how much? This is the thing. I don't think Cassie got just $30 million. This is like, do you know how much the record labels will want to hide this? That they were paying people off for Puffy's bad deeds? And get this. Other sources, when I actually looked into this Capricorn thing, because you know me, I'm always like, okay, does this Capricorn girl exist? Is there any validity to what Suge Knight is saying, well, it looks like there might be a little bit, because remember how Capricorn said 2011 was hell? Y'all remember that? Yeah, I remember that. Well, apparently, after that happened, and she was, according to Suge, paid off and settled because she gotten beat so viciously, right? Part of the settlement was Puffy would be able to say that he fired her. There is an article on Yahoo News.
You want to be able to say
from,
he
I believe
fired
it's
her.
2011, 2012. Let me pull this up for y'all. That literally talks about Capricorn being fired. Capricorn being fired. Because Puffy said this girl stole for him. Let me get this article and read it for y'all. But can you imagine, if according to Suge, somebody beating you viciously because you turned the other way while Cassie was dating Kid Cudi, right? Because I think her and Puffy were in a break anyway. And he beats you viciously. The record label gives you a settlement. And then you got to read in, then Diddy, after he knows what he's did, makes up some mess that you stole from him, and that's why you got fired, thus ensuring you would never get another job in the industry as a personal assistant because everybody thinks you're a thief, and you can't even get a job in the corporate world because everybody thinks you're a thief. How insidious is this man, if this is true? How insidious is he? Hold on, let me pull this article up for y'all. Here we go right here. She said that beating happened in 2011. Sources are saying that the settlement happened sometime between 2011 and 12. It was even more vicious than what happened to Cassie. Now, if this is true, this explains why the girl was like 2011 is hell. You got to be able to walk away from the money. So she was shading Cassie, but in a way she was like, I gave up everything, my career, my livelihood, my reputation to walk away from evil. So Cassie should have done the same thing. Now, you can't tell people how to deal with the trauma, but it is super interesting. Okay, now, for the record, though, Capricorn Clark actually sat down for an interview with Grailed. She was Diddy's personal assistant from 2001 to 2012, and Diddy allegedly, they did say, he fired her for stealing from his label. However, it's important to note, and this is the weird part, at the same time, Diddy took to Twitter to clear up the air that Clark has only given, never taken, while wishing her the best for her future ventures. He also stated that Clark has simply moved on to bigger and better things. Now, while the reason behind Clark's exit from her job as Diddy's right-hand woman was never released, now, let me just say this, wouldn't it make sense? That is why also it makes sense what Suge's saying.
Oh, they look
that
alike.
Capricorn looked the other way because Cassie and Lauren London were best friends. Cassie was trying to move on. She wasn't even creeping. She was trying to move on with Kid Cudi. Capricorn, even though she did work for Diddy, was like, I'm gonna look the other way. It's none of my business. And when she found out, both of them were savagely attacked by Diddy, and on top of that, what happened to her sister probably played a role in Lauren's relationship with Cassie. I'm just saying things are starting to connect. But they said while the real reason behind Capricorn Clark's exit from her job as Diddy's right-hand woman was never released, she indeed moved on to other things. Her Grailed interview, she did marketing and strategic work for Jamba Jive Records, popularly called RCA. She also described herself as a creative director, marketing consultant, the kind of a branding person. She further called herself a vintage streetwear collector. Okay, yeah, so she's doing things, but again, she never became anybody's personal assistant. And as far as like that part of the record industry, it looks like whoever started that smear campaign that she was fired for stealing, right? She was fired for stealing. Looks like they got their wish. But y'all, let's continue. Now let's get into this because I'm gonna tell you how Wale and T-Pain play into this. Now, this article is Diddy's personal assistant fired for stealing from him. Diddy is sick. And also at the same time, I know Cassie is a victim, and she was like, and that's the thing when people are victims and when this type of stuff's going on, everybody is trying to save themselves. But I can understand Capricorn being like, everybody, but like she said, 2011 was hell. Everybody was going through a different type of hell, and Diddy was the demon. They're saying, Capricorn's contract was terminated after the business mogul discovered she was stealing from Bad Boy Records. An industry insider revealed that she worked for Bad Boy for so many years, yet now that she's unemployed, she can't use the company's name as a reference to get a new job. Capricorn Clark committed a cardinal sin over at Bad Boy Records. She was accused of stealing from Bad Boy Records. She is a jealous, lying bee. She's finished in the music industry. No one is ever going to F with her on a professional tip. It was also revealed this week that Meek Mill's stylist has been charged for stealing from the Maybach music rapper, among other things. Must be something in the air. Y'all, how evil is it that according to Suge, Capricorn got the brakes beat off of her, right? She got the brakes beat off of her because she didn't throw Cassie to the wolves. Because if she had told Puffy, Cassie would have gotten a major beating. So she was like, I don't see anything.
She did get one.
Everything. Yeah. Again, what's that got to do with Wale? Because remember how Cassie sued Sony Records, all those people, this and that, and everybody's like, what they got to do with it? According to Suge, and I think this holds weight, they are the ones that facilitate the payoffs for Diddy. They protect Diddy because they say that Diddy is bringing in so much money. I don't know if that's true, but he said they protect Diddy, and part of that is paying off. What does that have to do with paying off? Well, apparently, you know that weird stuff that's been going on with Wale, where they got his one friend, I forget his name, on the video telling that funny story of Wale being hung over the balcony. I'm sure it wasn't funny when it happened, but the fact that Wale survived, if it happened, Wale claims it didn't happen, right? But when he did say the first time, he's like, oh, it's this and that, and
said
he
it did.
quiet, and everybody was like, Wale. Witnesses were like, Wale, if that wasn't your shoes, the person we saw had your shoes on. So who put on Wale's shoes if that wasn't you? It's a really funny story. Go ahead and catch it if you can. It's in one of my other videos, or you can just Google on YouTube, right? Also, if you want to hear the whole Suge Knight interview, just put in Google search terms, Suge Knight interview on YouTube. I think it's like Suge Knight Jailhouse. Actually, let me pull up this interview for y'all really quick, just so you can see. I'll put a link. Hold on. Okay, so anyway, I'll put a picture of it on there. Hold on. Okay, so you can put in Breakbeat Media. That's the name of the channel. There, I'll put a picture on the screen. Yeah, that's the Suge Knight stuff. Okay. Okay. So let's get to the Wale stuff. Allegedly.
Listen, because I'm past 3 hours. I'll be back tomorrow with the rest of it. I'm tired. It's Anyway, Capricorn, very crucial, very, very critical to what's going on. Tory Lane broke what? Tuesday in court. It's a lot. She is going to what you trying to get me to? Broke their sister. I don't know nothing about that. Yeah, y'all stop trying to. Okay, Jeff. I definitely wasn't trying to pin that. Please don't be bringing up other people in their pages if you ain't sent a cash app over here. Please don't do that. Please don't. Please don't. That is rude and disrespectful. Do not slick promote nobody over here without hitting my cash app. Yeah, don't do that. So, Capricorn. Hell, and even Harvey Levin was talking about they need to bring Suge Knight. They need to subpoena him. But I'll be back tomorrow.